Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Is everyone mad at March Madness? Not enough drama and buzzer beaters and upsets and stories and fun and what? Why are you making a face, Tony?
Come on, because I don't like that. We get this once a year, okay? We have this incredible tournament where there's basketball everywhere and there's hoops everywhere, and I got my wife being like, are you really going to watch college basketball? I'm like, yeah, babe, it's March. That's what I do in March. We watch college hoops. And yeah, there hasn't been a ton of upsets. There haven't been a ton of buzzer beaters. There have been a ton of the secret sauce, though.
There is always the secret sauce of the white guy. Going into this tournament, I told you my analysis was everyone's going to shoot 35%. And so when you go and you watch St. John's, and God bless Calipari here, who beats Self, and he's got to feel so good. He has to feel so good today, taking out Pitino and Self at Arkansas. But so everyone told you before St. John's, hey, they can't shoot threes and they can't shoot free throws. Can't do either of those. And it's like, okay, if they can't do those, that seems to be problematic in those pesky 1-on-1 situations that everyone's going to get bothered by when they're gambling on these games.
Does Calipari feel better right now than the Kentucky fan is angry? I mean, Cal missed the second. He lost in the first round. What was it, 5 consecutive years before he left there? And now, coaching his ass off. He's the best story of the tournament.
It is nuts that there are only 4 conferences remaining, and one of them's there only because Duke's still there. Like, otherwise, you'd have this dominated by all of these same teams, and a lot of people see in that St. John's and Arkansas game, which is the one a lot of people were looking forward to. Oh, my God, that's horrific.
Woof.
That is horrific to watch 4 for 41 from 3. You've never seen a tournament game where the shooting is that bad. And you realize that no matter how much money is in it, paid for it, or gambled on it, oh, they're not pros. They're learning how to play basketball, and we're just betting on them younger. Like they're not good yet.
It's almost like college kickers. Like, where do the NFL kickers come from? Because every college kicker I see sucks.
Terrible.
That's hard to do. It seems like a hard job. College kicking seems like that's not that easy just because the pros Steph makes it look like that, so we get mad at Pitino for not coaching St. John's better at threes. Like, oh, that's the damage that does.
Get some guy that can shoot 3. The secret sauce, every coach knows going into March, I need one guy who's white who can shoot. And Pitino has none of them.
I love the attention that Calipari's got. I know he's super polarizing. A lot of people don't like him. You could say that he underachieved, even though he won a national championship at Kentucky. Think of what Calipari's done this year. That Arkansas team was terrible to start the season. Then they went to Lexington. The whole story. Pitino's putting out a video. Don't boo Cal. You should treat him with respect. And Calipari goes into Lexington, and they kick the crap out of that Kentucky team. And then we get to the tournament. Not only in the Sweet 16, but he beats Bill Self and Pitino on the way. This is a grand slam of a year that Calipari's had.
How do I turn him down a little in the morning? What do I need to do to turn the Zaslow down a little bit?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm at exactly the right level right now.
Yeah, he needs the energy.
He's doing good. I mean, this is morning. Yeah. He's here. He's getting
why would you want to do
up.
that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Thank you for asking. The games weren't worthy of that kind of enthusiasm. The enthusiasm that he is presently showing for this weekend's games. This weekend's games were a disappointment.
Here's the thing, though. I like what happened. I don't like all the upsets. I don't like all the sin. Now, I would like some madness. we got the madness.
There was no
Maryland.
madness.
Maryland was the only madness.
There was okay, that was madness.
Right, that was it.
There wasn't enough madness.
There was not enough madness, but I don't like all the upsets. I like when the big teams win. I want the huge matchups in the Sweet 16. I don't need a 12 versus an 8 in the Sweet 16. I want the great games next weekend, and that's what we're getting now. I was fine with this weekend.
Okay, I want to talk about a couple of the college basketball stories, but because this is the local hour, and I know one of the reasons that Zaz is fired up is that he doesn't like the people are taking shots at Pat Riley, I would imagine.
So fight somebody, fight me.
Well, as I mentioned. So the Miami Heat break a 10-game losing streak, the longest since 2008 last night.
Great night.
Oh, that's what it looks like when you trade for Andrew Wiggins. Okay, that's what that was supposed to look like.
That guy's a pretty good scorer,
42 points. And against Charlotte in a game that means absolutely nothing, but that would help in the fourth quarter over the last month, over the 10 losses. That's not the Wiggins that we have seen. That is not the Heat we have seen. The thing that I wanted to ask you guys about, though, because I'm sure as I can feel Jessica drift off to sea, and I don't even blame her on just Miami Heat talk because
come on, get excited.
I don't think anybody. I don't think.
Well, it's a big game. It brought him to 11 games under 500.
For that reason, I don't believe that anybody wants to hear Heat talk. However, tomorrow, there is a game that Jimmy Butler is saying is just another game that he's already been spotted in Miami playing dominoes, and Zaz was scared of going into that game on an 11-game losing streak.
Yeah. On national TV, games on TNT tomorrow. You think anyone will be talking about that? Jimmy Butler coming in, they've lost like a game since acquiring him, and the Heat on an 11-game losing skid. You think I need that in my life?
So this is where we are with the Miami Heat, and I am torn, though, because about the only thing worth talking about, like none of these games matter. Like we're going to talk about Jimmy Butler. Denver-Houston was interesting yesterday, and nobody cares. Like basketball people care. Basketball people are like, oh, that's an amazing story in Houston. And, oh, Udoka just gets to turn it around like that. We never find out what actually happened. He cleans it up, and he goes and he fixes Houston. But Denver's better, and Denver's a champion, and we all think Denver can win the championship, while none of us think that Houston can win the championship. But the sport is run at the moment by storylines, by drama, because that regular season game doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter whether Houston or Denver is 2 or 3. We could talk about it, but it doesn't matter. And so people latch on to the stuff like Jimmy's back in town. You're mad at people who are coming after Pat Riley?
Yeah, and I'll give you a storyline, by the way. Headline tomorrow night on TNT. They could steal it from me if they want. Warriors, 0-1 over their last game. Heat, 1-0. You want a storyline?
Those are just facts.
Lead with that.
That's not a good
Let's
One team's hot, one team's not, Dano.
Be fair.
That's not a good lead.
Be fair. No, I am mad because you know what's you have everyone out there on their podcasts. Everybody's got a podcast. Everyone's got a podcast.
Don't you?
And yes, but I'm a professional broadcaster, all right? Everyone's got a podcast. Also, because Miami Radio kicked me out. So I got a podcast, all right? And everybody's got a podcast now. And everyone is taking pot shots at Pat Riley. It's like, all right, we've all been waiting, apparently, for the opportunity to finally be super critical and put Pat Riley out to pasture, apparently. And you know how you know that everybody's been waiting? Because the Heat were in the finals 2 years ago. It's not like they were in the finals 22 years ago. They were in the finals 2 years ago. So the very first opportunity to take a shot at Pat Riley, everybody's doing it now. And I don't like it.
All right, so we've got plenty of Heat homers around here. I should explain to the people who may be new to us, as Zaz has to explain to his 16-year-old son who David Sampson is, that Zaz is not just a Miami radio legend. I would nominate him for honorary shipping container member because when 790 started, when all of us started in radio, Zaz was there the first day.
Original employee.
Was there the first day doing what the shipping container would do for us, for Boog Shambi. And so I believe that Zaz is worthy of being an honorary shipping container member. Tony shakes his head vigorously. No,
it's just when
You know I'm sitting right here, right?
I know. I'm going
All
to explain it to you. And I think you're going to agree with me, which
Okay.
is why you can't be a shipping container member, right? You sit on that side of the glass.
exactly.
We sit on this side
a
of
class
the glass.
system.
It's a class system.
It's a
of like,
demotion for you.
You don't sit here and do your show here. You sit there and do your show there. So there's kind of a separation between
wait,
us.
no, wait a minute. Like Amin, if you give Amin his choice, he would rather be in there.
Amin is a shipping container member. That's the difference.
Also,
He spends
I'm
time
above
here.
Amin, you're saying?
No, Amin
Yeah.
splits time, but he's
No.
honorary here.
Stugotz is also in the shipping container.
Also,
It's-
yes.
I would say when I say honorary shipping container member, I'm bestowing upon him an honor from a group I have found historically distrustful about allowing others into the inner circle. It takes a minute. Nobody's ever arrived here and just gets to be good with the shipping container.
Do you trust me?
I do have a story about Zaz I've never mentioned on air ever.
boy.
This is actually a really good story.
This is fun now. It's exciting.
Okay, so I used to work at 790s as a promotion assistant, right? And we
You
would go,
did?
Yeah.
This
gonna-
does not reflect well on me already.
No,
Well,
it's
he was
not going
employed.
to.
He was employed as a promotion assistant. The working is.
I mean, I did my job. We went to like a car dealership, and I would have to spin the wheel, and all that stuff.
A
So-
hustler. These were the
come on, Dan,
beginnings
you know
of
me.
the,
You know
the
me.
beginnings of the Kaladiud hustle.
Exactly right.
Passed down from your father.
All of a sudden, we're coming back from, I don't know, tropical Chevrolet somewhere far away, right? We get there. It's nighttime. It's a Heat game. And in the studio, I peek through. There used to be, in the 790 studio, there was a window like this big through the door. It was like a submarine door. And I looked in, and they were on break, and it was Zaslow and Tommy Tighe. And I was like, oh, my
Looking like
God.
radio.
What a crew.
I was like, oh, my
Looking
God, I
like
can't believe it.
radio.
It's Zaslow
But
and Tommy Tighe.
Tony, did it or did it not look like
Looked
radio?
and smelled like radio.
You should have walked down the other hallway. There's a giant glass. It was like a fish tank.
Well, yeah, but I wanted to like look into where the studio was. So like I was there, and then I kind of poked my head in, and at the same time, Zaz is trying to throw a paper away. So he's shooting like a garbage jump shot where I'm opening the door. So as I open the door, the garbage flings at me. It misses me. It hits you made the shot, by the way. Made it. And I'm like, hey, Zaz, hey, Tommy, just big fan, whatever. Didn't say anything and then just
No,
kept
I do not believe that.
Oh, you got big
I don't know
time.
if he didn't know.
Wow.
I don't know
Screw
if he
you,
didn't
man.
hear me.
Wow.
Screw
He
you.
had the headphones on,
Wow.
so I don't know if he heard
Little
me or
person.
not.
What a
I didn't know if he
jerk.
was like,
Okay, important detail. You said I had the headphones on? All
Yes.
right, come on. There's no way that I would just straight
Regardless,
up ignore you.
getting back to the original content, Tony hit a nerve there.
I'm just saying, I had never.
He threw garbage at you.
He threw
That was-
garbage
that
at me
was
and
hello.
then, and then didn't answer me.
And ignored
Hey,
him.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big
Oh my
fan.
God, it's John Zaslow.
Garbage.
You throw garbage at
Whoa,
you
sorry.
and doesn't speak to you. That's the headline.
Yeah.
Who does qualify as an honorary shipping container member?
Mina.
Has she ever even been in
Yeah,
a shipping container?
Yeah, she did Roy's Rome.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Forgive me. My apologies.
I actually turned to Tommy Tighe. I said, show him out, please.
Don't make eye contact, kid, and get out of here. Jeremy was doing his reports from the game yesterday, and I saw him reporting on behalf of Advancing Through Dancing. He was effervescent. Jeremy is bubbly as a sideline reporter. Perpetual enthusiasm.
Yeah, I bring the energy, Dano. You know, it's my job to make sure that as the Heat are on a 10-game losing streak, that's not reflected in the broadcast. We're here for people to have a great time, to enjoy each individual game, and if I can put a smile on somebody's face, I'm going to do that with my energy and my smiling face.
Well, okay, so, and this is where it is that we get called Heat homers, and a criticism that was levied at me here recently as it regards Pat Riley is when I was saying that I got aggregated for saying around here that Jimmy's unstable ingredient had made it so that when he left the Heat organization, there was a relief in the building. And a lot of people, and I understand why they would make this criticism, suggested that I'm just doing mouthpiece work on behalf of executives when I say that. But I wasn't even talking about executives. I was talking about employees. I'm not even talking about the players. I was just talking about like relief in the building that whatever that tension was, I was talking to simply about the funny thing about the report and it getting aggregated is that people naturally assumed, oh, Pat Riley's whimpering to Dan about how bad Jimmy was at the end. And it's like, no, I know people who work there, and they were like really uncomfortable, not just at the end, long before the end, because of whatever it is. Like, I don't even know what it is to work in the secrecy of that building where you're not allowed to say anything about anything to anybody, that basketball is this supreme holy thing that can't be touched. And whatever Jimmy's doing in that setting, Jimmy's getting whatever he wants.
I ran into someone from the Heat at the beginning of the season, the very beginning of the season, someone who I used to see all the time when I was on the broadcast. How you doing? Good to see you. How's everything going?
You answered him, huh?
And the answer was, everything's all right, just dealing with Jimmy. And this was the very beginning of the season before anything became public with him being angry. His answer was, yeah, it's good. Just, dealing with Jimmy.
Okay, so one of the things, though, because I don't want to do revisionist history here, not only did that win, putting the coal in that furnace of conflict, like this one to me is super rich for study. Whatever you believe to be that organization over the last 20 years, it thrived in a way that would be really uncomfortable, I think, for most human beings, in conflict, okay? I would not call it a toxic workplace, but there is a boss over the conflict, and the conflict is fuel. The conflict's not bad. The conflict makes everyone who's fighting over money in minutes better. The conflict makes everyone stronger, but you wouldn't want to work around it, and the best of it was Jimmy. And Jimmy wanted to fight UD, and Spo wanted to fight Jimmy, and whatever the manifestations of that are every day, I don't think I'd like to work around it. I think I would crumble around it. Now, I'm weaker than the people in these workplaces. One of the reasons I love studying the arena is because, my God, they're all bigger, stronger, faster. They're all speeding up learning, fighting for money on what the height of competition is, where you've got to earn your, you've got to hunt and kill what you eat for your family. And it's the top 1% of the top 1%. And conflict is the place you're going to get there, and we're going to contain it for culture. For 5 years, we're going to ride that particular locomotive, and then it explodes. And what you're left with is a relief, but also losing. But also, you're terrible. So now what? Like, what do you do as a sports fan to put the two things together where you can say, no, man, whatever Jimmy was doing, maybe it wasn't professional, maybe you didn't like it, maybe you didn't like it only when you couldn't totally harness it, but whatever he was doing was the winning. Like, at the center of it, it was him, and he took it with him.
Yeah, but I feel like the way that you're phrasing it is that the Heat were done with it, and that's why Jimmy's gone. No, the Heat were totally good with it still happening. Jimmy's the one who made them get rid of him. Like, he was under contract for this season and essentially next season as well. The Heat, by all accounts, wanted him to play out that entire contract.
My point is, in the age of player empowerment, what happens when you can't harness the conflict? It's all fine when you can harness the conflict. Oh, whatever, UD and Jimmy might fight with Spo. It's good video. It doesn't matter. That was a long time ago. Like, what happens when you can't harness it? I've told you guys the story before. Shaq wanted to fight Riley. They escorted him out with security like they always do with employees, but Shaq wanted to fight Riley and wasn't allowed back in the building. Riley will say of a conflict with Alonzo Mourning where it seemed like Alonzo Mourning was going to punch his coach because they were face to face. You can say bleep you to me. Just teach me something. When that's an environment, I'm legitimately asking you guys, what happens when you can't harness the conflict?
You trade him, and the team falls apart because the culture is really just nonsense to sell season tickets. It's all about the talent. And when you get rid of the most talented players on your team, you have off seasons that are not good and seasons that are bad.
You're going to take that, Zaslow?
I mean, like, it's an argument that we can go round and round about. I feel like you're saying it just to aggravate me, that the culture is just something to sell tickets.
Welcome to my world, my friend.
Is it not?
Like, you're just trying to get under my skin here. You're not talking about a franchise.
Billy?
You're not talking about
Falsehoods.
a franchise that's been terrible for several years. Yes, this has been a bad year. And I kind of feel like I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt to fix it in the offseason. Now, I think this is a huge offseason. I think it's an offseason like maybe they've never had before because of the conversation around the team. But it's one bad season that they've had now.
Well, but they got rid of their star. That's what I'm saying. Is the culture exists when you have the
and they'll
star.
get another one.
Yeah, and then the culture will be back.
Yeah, they'll get another.
Because it's just talent.
Well, it's hard to it's hard to do this when you don't have any good players. They'll get another star. They've had how many different iterations of winning teams have they had with Pat Riley there? They've done it over and over again. They're gonna do it again. They'll get someone else this offseason.
The reality is, too, like, the emotional baggage of all of this and Andrew Wiggins missing half the games since he showed up, they haven't been able to get into a groove, and it's been one bad season. But to act like Jimmy was maximized by this group and sort of the revisionist history because they didn't make certain transactions, I think that's the weird part of this, is Jimmy played the best basketball of his career and the most winning basketball of his career with Spo as his coach, with Bam as his co-star, and with all of the surrounding pieces that they had. This is just what happened. And so to look back at it now and act like he brought something to the organization and then took it with him when he left that was never there before.
At worst, it was 50-50.
Right. It was a
worst.
great partnership. That's why there's so many people around the organization and within the fan base who were so frustrated by the things he said after the last Warriors game, sort of dismissing it as just like a cute little time that he had with some friends, when he still hasn't said anything about the guys that were his co-stars. I think most people are frustrated by the fact that he still hasn't said anything about a guy like Bam, who took every single bullet that you could imagine while Jimmy was there as sort of his shield, the way Draymond is for Steph.
I do wonder
all
what that
the
was,
little things.
I do wonder what that was like behind the scenes, because one of my something that I feel like is fair to be critical of Bam about, when Jimmy was still here this year and Bam's the captain, it's like, why are you allowing this behavior? Why, if you're Heat culture guy and you're an extension of the coach and you're an extension of Pat Riley and you're the captain of the team, like, I don't feel like Udonis Haslem is allowing Jimmy Butler to go out into the game and shoot one-legged fadeaway three-pointers. But I don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Well, but again, I ask you, what happens when you can't harness the conflict? Bam lived in service of Jimmy.
Yep.
That's what it looks like.
Well,
yeah.
no, but I mean that. And
it's factual.
was rewarded for it. I mean, Bam does what PR asks him to do. Bam is great team spokesman. Bam is nice. Bam is also not as aggressive as you'd like him to be.
But if you're the captain of the team, how are you allowing a guy to be on the floor with you and actively not try?
What's he gonna
part
do?
Bothers me.
Fight him?
Yeah, when he's better than you, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Like that's why, like, from the an outsider's perspective, that's why they roll their eyes at the whole culture stuff, because the culture exists as long as the superstar wants to indulge it and participate in the culture. He did not want to be participating in the culture, and like to what you guys are saying, everyone behind the scenes like, well, we just have to kind of put up with whatever Jimmy's doing. So
He
we're
never
just
did,
dealing
though.
with him. Yeah, so like then there's not actually a culture.
No, they built a culture around what they did. They maximized the player. They maximized all of the other guys around him. That work ethic never left those guys, and Jimmy was there working that way until they brought in his friend in Kyle Lowry, and then those guys separated themselves from the locker room.
You guys act like people don't work hard on other teams to make rosters. Like, that's the part I don't understand about this.
I mean, you can look around the entire NBA. There's nobody who has taken as many second-round picks in the last decade and turned them into serviceable NBA players. They've gotten contracts elsewhere and with the team. Like, it's silly to put it down as nothing, but also hyping it up as if it's the only thing that matters and that talent doesn't matter would be short-sighted. Like, I am not saying that they don't need better players on the roster to be able to compete for championships, but it's been about the little things that allow you to be a 5 seed in the bubble that makes the run to the finals, that allows you to be an 8 seed that makes the run to the finals. That's where you can hang your hat on it, and you can laugh at it. And by the way, if you're nationally listening to this, you probably should, because this will be the one opportunity to do so.
We don't
because
have to
they'll
hang
come
a
back.
hat on it. Roy, you're totally right. And I know you were talking to just me. I know, but you're totally right. There's no need to hang a hat on that.
Yeah, why are we hanging hats?
Why can't LeBron just have his cookies? Fly in the plane, eat his chocolate chip cookies,
you know that
and then it's
story's
fine.
bull. Come on.
What?
Oh, okay.
LeBron?
Get out of here.
Why would he make that up?
Why would Pat Riley, who doesn't travel with the team, send a text message to the servers on the plane and say no more cookies?
Culture.
What are we talking about?
Billy actually moved away from the microphone as if something had exploded nearby just because look, I would like to play these particular notes for the next 2 days, Billy, because I know you can get Zaslow easily agitated, and you haven't had one of those.
That's not what I'm doing. We're just having a conversation about the Heat, the culture, the cookies, etc.
It's Monday morning. I feel good about the tournament. I feel good about the Panthers yesterday. The Heat snapped that streak, so they don't have to go into tomorrow with an 11-game losing.
One.
That's right. I said that. I own that statement. And you get me riled up over nonsense here. Cookies? You know that story's not true. It's stupid.
Dan reported it was ice cream that they took away from LeBron.
Took away.
It was ice cream. And
He had a spoonful. He was about to put it in his mouth, and a flight attendant slapped it out of his hand, and they opened the emergency exit and threw the ice cream carton out the airplane.
No, that's not how that went.
remember.
Okay, I understand, but that's always because you're here to help. My wife this weekend described Santa as sexy because he just runs around giving you gifts and all he needs is cookies. You just made me think of that because
Milk
you
too,
brought up cookies. And she's also got a type, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm better shaped here for Santa than anybody in our offices, correct?
Yes, you're the biggest person here.
Yeah.
No, for Santa.
Danny
not
could be
okay,
Santa.
biggest. I'm just saying that Danny would be a good Santa.
Yeah, short Santa,
That's
but
a
Santa.
No, but Santa. I don't feel
Santa's
like
got to be big. Though, right?
Shanta.
Yeah.
I feel like doesn't he?
He's got to carry the big
How
sack.
tall does
I don't
Santa?
know.
How tall does Santa have to be? He can't be Danny's size.
Why?
Because Danny's like 5'5".
He's got to be
So?
6 foot plus. Santa's got to be over 6 feet.
Definitely.
65 inches, some
Yeah,
say.
definitely.
I don't envision Santa as this giant you're making him
It doesn't
out
have to be a giant. He just can't be 5'5". Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can Santa be 5'5"?
You have to be small to get into chimneys.
No, but he can contort his body in a different way. That's a whole different story.
You're saying Danny is 5'5"?
Well, how tall is Danny? I don't know how tall. He just said that's correct in my ear. Thank you, Danny.
Oh, damn.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're
I
right.
don't-
Yeah,
it's okay.
65
job, Dan.
You work with this person, and so
Dan, you got a good gauge for height.
well, but
5'5".
I think everyone listening to this would agree with the premise and would say to me, Dan, you are correct. My child cannot believe in a 5'5" Santa, even if my child is small and wants to have representation in the world. Santa can't be 5'5".
Also, you can't be 5'5" because then it feels like the elves would kind of rebel if they saw Santa as a little bit taller than them. They'd be like, "Hey, wait a second, you're not telling us what to do.
Wait,
buddy.
how
We're
tall?
not making toys."
How tall are they?
Small.
Tell you what, a Jewish Santa would be 5'5".
Yeah, that's right.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Would a Jewish Santa be 5'5"?
Janta.
So Michigan was 8-24 with Juwan Howard. That was kind of a really nice story, and then it wasn't. And next thing you know, I'm watching 7-footers set screens for each other, and Michigan is in the Sweet 16 because they did the thing. They got hot at the right time.
Dusty May, good coach.
Yes, there's that.
Tim Allen's 5'10". He played Santa.
Okay, that's a good height for him. That's a good height for Santa.
I'm going to look for the shortest Santas, Dan. I'll get back to you.
When I do word association on Tim Allen, I do cocaine trafficking, ended up in prison just because it was so shocking to me to learn that the guy who was on Home Improvement did a ride in prison over cocaine sales.
I think of Woody from Toy Story, but
Two
to each his
Americans,
own.
Dan. Two Americans. Two Americans.
Was Jeremy just surprised by
Buzz.
that, Jeremy?
I
You
learned
didn't
that
know
on a podcast like a month ago and simply could not believe it. Because also, like Billy, Woody or Santa Claus.
I was gonna say Woody is not.
Oh, Buzz Lightyear. Right. Yeah. Right. Woody's Tom Hanks, of course. You know what? My mistake.
I think of the mugshot, Dan, where it's like him holding like the little letters that they put into like that thing, and he's holding it there like that.
You would
With, like a
never catch-
Hawaiian shirt on or something,
You
right?
would never catch Woody doing lines. That's why you can't be Woody.
I would love a Google Doc or something, or just a phone line where people can call in with facts that shock them like that, because you all have them. You all have these little things that you learned about people, and I'd like to go around the room right now. In fact, if you guys needed to surprise somebody by saying to them, you're having a conversation about whatever, and you've got a fact in your arsenal that would be that you learned and it was shocking for you to learn, and then you felt the need to share it with somebody. I should give you more time than this and more preparation.
Yeah, that'd be great, Dan.
Here's one.
But Tim Allen made me think of it because I always say it when Tim Allen makes an appearance. It's the first thought.
I think of cocaine.
It's the first thought that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Asner was 5'7". He played Santa Claus.
Ed Asner is pushing. He's pushing it. He was pushing it. The late Ed Asner. And Lou Grant struck me as taller than that. Like he played bigger. He repped bigger.
Lou Grant.
It's like Draymond Green. He plays over his size.
Yes. Ed Asner played bigger than. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did Ed Asner play bigger than 5'7"?
Defending Giannis. Like,
I mean, he did. He was. Oh, that's a
That's a
fine.
fine.
Zaslow.
That's a fine.
That is
That's
so
a
amateur.
terrible-
that's why you can't be an
Zaslow.
honorary shipping container
That's
member.
a-
We know back here we gotta get the phone.
I
What
didn't
an
hear it.
amateur
That is
mistake,
a terrible
Zaslow.
job.
Dan, have a top 5 for honorary shipping container members.
Oh, you
Wow.
have
I
a
do,
top
yeah.
5? Oh, this is very exciting. Yes, I would love a top 5.
Are you a member?
Buddy.
Tracy Morgan's 5'9". He played Santa.
Any OLI?
No OLI. We'll get straight to it. Number 5, Taylor. Seems to always be hanging out underneath the desk here. If you live here, you're an honorary member.
Billy, did you vote on that?
No.
It's not his list. It's my list, Dan.
Okay, sorry.
Number 4, we got to pay homage to the ones that came before us. Old Money Charlie. Old Money Charlie at 4. Number 3, Izzy. Izzy spends a lot of time here in the shipping container. We're very happy with Izzy. He does occasionally go to the other side of the glass when he needs to, but his home is here in the shipping container with us. Number 2, Amin. Also a guy that can play both sides, right? He's here with us, and then he goes in with Dan when he needs to and be Mr. Serious Guy, but then he can come back here and play with us when it's convenient for him.
He's playing both sides.
Playing both sides.
Playing both sides.
And number 1, Bobby.
Good list.
Okay, it's not a bad list, but the reason that I wanted to do it, because some of those people are actually in and out of the shipping container, I was thinking of the entire story of going back to first day 790. Not even Sedano goes back that far. I'm trying to go back and grab the people who would know the story of this show from the inside of it as if they were a shipping container member.
I do.
Because that's why I'm nominating Zaslow. I'm nominating Zaslow because he understands the specifics of how we do our show.
I saw all of it.
Without needing to be taught any of it.
So Andy King.
Nobody knows who that is. Not even in the shipping container. Andy King, you're right about, but two people, you just mentioned a name that you'd be outvoted in your room by people who simply don't know who you're talking about.
Well, he was originally the executive producer before Hawk came in, and then he became.
But I'm also talking about, and forgive me for making all of the rules and definitions on this, but somebody that you guys would also respect enough as having understood what it is to do your job, so you would welcome that person in. Look, this is what happens. One of the things that happens in the friendships around our show or community is people meet immediately, and because they have the show as language, they can take a shortcut to, we like some of the same things. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Zaslow has a life experience that makes, we learned radio together. He learned and we learned how to do all this in the same place at the same time.
Stugotz interviewed me for the job before 790 The Ticket went on air. He was the one I interviewed with and hired me.
Andy King hired me.
Stugotz hired me.
Tim Conway was 5'6".
Not Santa.
Yeah, he played Santa.
He played Santa?
He's too thin to play Santa.
Okay,
Tim-
I'm looking at a
I
list
know.
of
Okay,
actors who
I'm
played
sorry.
Santa.
I'm sorry we attacked you.
You're trying to, though, put me in the shipping container, but I feel like they're saying that I'm too big for the
That's
shipping
what I
container.
said.
Yeah, that's
almost
right.
directly.
And what I'm saying is that they don't like you enough to put you in the shipping container.
There is no way I ignored you when you said hello to me.
You didn't say anything
No
back to me.
way.
So
It's a
that
pattern.
allows me to think that
It's
you
a
ignored
pattern.
me.
What's the other example
You
to make
ignored
it a
me
pattern?
when I said you weren't in the shipping container. You were above it. That was just today. Tim Conway, by the way, doesn't really count. It was an animated film, Saving Santa, 2013. Voice actor.
Well, you could do it if as a voice actor. I guess you could do it, right? I was that it's okay to be 5'6".
He's got a bigger voice than 5'6". Tim Conway. We can agree, right?
No, I don't think we can agree with that.
Oh.
But I don't think we also want to do a show about Tim Conway. But if you want to talk about old things, there was one in sports this weekend that I don't want to go too much time more without addressing, because in my career watching sports figures, rare is the genuine change I saw about what one man was versus what he became than the one that happened publicly with George Foreman, where he went from the most feared man in the universe, Mike Tyson before Mike Tyson, to a jolly spokesman for things that you wanted to buy stuff from, because he was great at the ministry and great at really reaching the everyman by trying to leave a minister's life, a minister's narcissistic heavyweight life where you have several kids and name all of them George, including your daughter Georgina. Because he also had like a number of things from his past life that seeped into what some people thought was dehydration, but he said was finding God, and he changed his life from evermore to become a person who America remembers more for the second half of his career and what he invented than for what he did with his athletic gifts were enough to beat, to frighten Muhammad Ali and to make Muhammad Ali the boxer that he was, because, and only because, he was able to beat George Foreman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most famous boxing moments ever, a rope-a-dope, but I feel like Barkley's a similar trajectory there, where like both of them were super nasty. Like Barkley was a nasty man when he played, and a lot of people, like my son, my 16-year-old son, definitely only knows Barkley as the really cool guy, the funny guy who says whatever he wants on TNT. Like Barkley's pretty similar to George Foreman in that regard.
One of the things you were saying earlier about like the random facts that you know about somebody or something that you bring up, the George Foreman grill thing is crazy. Have you heard that story before? Do you know the story?
Oh, thank you. That is excellent producing by you, Tony. Do we have the sound of Hulk Hogan saying they used to share an agent? Is it true that you passed on the George Foreman grill idea?
No, that's not true. I missed the phone call.
What happened? Tell me the story.
Well, I mean, George Foreman and I had the same agent, and my kids were complaining that I was always towards the end of the line picking them up at school. They would get out of school at 3 o'clock, and these soccer moms would start lining up their minivans and talking shop, and so I would come at 2:45, 15 minutes before my kids get out of school, and I was at the back of the bus. So I went to McDonald's early, got Diet Cokes and got the burgers and the fries, and it was a big surprise. I get to the school about 2:45. I was the first one in line. My kids came out. They were all excited. I had the drinks and the hamburgers and stuff. And we went home, and I checked my answer machine. And my answer machine, my agent called me. He goes, "Hey, Hogan, I'm calling you. I got two things. I got a grill and I got a blender. I got these two choices for you and George." So when I called him back, my agent says, "Well, I called you first, and I figured you'd take the grill, but you weren't home, so I called George, and he took the grill." So $450 million later, we've got the George Foreman grill in every size and color you can imagine. And I got the blender that you'd put 8 ounces of water, a scoop of protein, and a AA battery in it. It'd spin 3 times and fart and cut off.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I see that Lucy Rodine is now radiant and just filled with superstardom. I am told by others that the sponsorship dollars are coming her way because people want to be associated with the Rodine brand. Why are you smiling, Zaslow?
That makes sense. I see she's a very busy young lady. I've never talked to her before.
Okay, well, welcome to Zaslow. You're meeting Lucy for the first time. Do you guys want to tell each other anything weird about each other? Zaslow is super weird. Zaslow is a strange person who doesn't own a coat.
Well, because I live in Cooper City. Like, I haven't needed a coat. And then ESPN springs on me, "Hey, you're going to travel the entire country during college football season." I'm like, okay. And then I learned not everywhere is the same weather as Cooper City.
Did you get the Disney passes?
Of course.
Oh, I missed that.
We have to talk later.
Billy misses them so much.
So much.
Lucy, welcome. We will talk March Madness with you in a moment. But before we do that, I saw that you were loving all of the Ben Affleck. You've fallen in love with Ben Affleck, it appears to me, based on your social media postings.
I'm not like in love with Ben Affleck himself. I'm in love with watching Ben Affleck's dating life. He wakes up and he goes, what Jennifer is it going to be today? I don't think he's ever met a woman in his life not named Jennifer. He just can't decide between the two. A few weeks ago, he said, hey, Jennifer Gardner, it's you again. I'll make it work if you want to make it work. And then she came out, she said, I don't want to make it work. That's not true. Right after 2 weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, he was like finally officially divorced from Jennifer Lopez. And then like a day after that, they were like, just kidding. They're trying to make it work. He's back with J-Lo. And then a few weeks prior, he was like, I'm done with J-Lo. I'm over J-Lo. That's done. And then a few days before, he's like, I don't know. Something good could happen with J-Lo. He just can't. He can't choose a Jennifer. And I know that he's going to spend the rest of his life jumping from Jennifer to Jennifer to Jennifer, and I can't wait to watch.
Jeremy, why are you smiling?
I was just thinking of how incredible Ben Affleck is in terms of his weird dating life and what Lucy said. The fact that he's just oscillating between these Jennifers for, what, like 30 years?
Why is it weird?
It's
They're
one
good
Jennifer
Jennifers.
or another. I'm trying, Jennifer.
They're good Jennifers.
They're good Jennifers.
They are good Jennifers. Well, not J-Lo.
Whoa.
I'm not a J-Lo guy. We've done this before.
Whoa.
We've done this before. I'm not a J-Lo guy, all right? I don't have to be a J-Lo guy.
Neither's Ben at the moment.
Hey, let's just say something.
2 minutes right here in the shipping container for trying to leave.
What? Okay, I'm just going to ignore that.
It just said leaving on the thing, and I thought it would be like him leaving is what I thought it was going to say. What were you going to say, Lucy?
One thing we can agree about both Jennifers is they're hot. Do you know what else is hot? Jimmy John's sandwich. This Lucy's segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's. They're finally here and they're hot. Try new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Order one today.
We got to do better than that. Billy, you saw what
I thought
just
that was pretty
happened there.
good.
Billy, you saw what happened. But you made Billy burst out laughing. How about you give us some good information and then attach a sponsor to it? Like give us something on the Duke Baylor game. Give us some good information and then have it sponsored.
Well, I thought the Jennifer information was really good, and that actually kind of hurt my feelings a little bit because that's something I'm very passionate about.
Forgive
but don't
me.
worry about
I meant
that,
the
Dan.
good sports information. I'm sorry. I should have.
It's, I'm going to say jumping from Jennifer to Jennifer is almost a sport. I would agree that might be true. Duke Baylor, this is one of the games we went to. It was one of those things where I left being like, thank God I picked Duke to win my bracket because it is insane how good they are. Even with Cooper Flagg in foul trouble early in that game, it is just like there was one point where Duke had this insane lob dunk, and Jeremy Roach, former Duke player, I saw him close up, just look at Baylor, go, there's really nothing we can do about this. Like it was, Baylor had given up because Duke was such a dominant team, and this was following right on the heels of Florida UConn, where Florida was supposed to kind of cruise. That's also been the very popular pick to be the national champion. It is just remarkable how good Duke basketball is right now, and they kind of feel like the clear favorite for me to win the national championship through this March Madness so far.
Did you show up for the game before also?
Yeah, the Florida UConn one?
Yeah.
Yes. I would love to live life never having to watch Florida try to shoot free throws again. Like, I think that would be really good for me emotionally and spiritually. It was one of those games where, like, it just, the first half was like, oh my God, this is what you guys must feel like when I talk about Iowa football. Nothing is happening. This is like, why are we doing this? There's so much defense and there's nothing fun happening. It gave me some pause with Florida. The free throw line issues are something that it's going to, haunt them if they continue to play the way they did. I don't necessarily agree with Dan Hurley's take that they were screwed.
Yeah, Dan Hurley thinks they were cheating.
Dan Hurley's always thinking stuff. He's a professional yapper. But don't worry. Now that Dan Hurley and UConn have been eliminated from the NCAA tournament, he could go on vacation. So this joke in this off-roading segment was presented by Priceline. Dreaming about that trip? Book it and go to your happy price with Priceline.
We got to get better at these.
That was so
She's killing
good.
it. It's so
what
smooth,
are
these
you
ant
talking
transitions,
about?
yeah.
No, I like it. Just every few seconds, throw in the sponsor. You're doing a fine job, Lucy.
No, that was so seamless and beautiful,
Yeah.
and I tied it into the basketball. You said, no, Lucy, no more Jennifer talk. You got to talk about basketball. I did.
What is the best fan base you've encountered in your travels?
I was actually very surprised by this one. We were in Lexington for day one and then Raleigh for day 4. So Lexington day 1, not a ton of great games there. It was just it's been a little bit of a bummy March Madness the first 2 rounds in the sense of like competitive matchups and upsets. But despite that, the Wofford Terrier fan base is electric. They
Heard that
were
about them.
They were the wildest fans I've ever heard in my life. The things they were screaming at officials, I cannot repeat on this show. It would not be safe for me to say. They were so much fun that I think we have to do off-roading at Wofford in the future, because it was I was in shock. And they were playing Tennessee. Tennessee, who notoriously has great, very passionate, very into it fans. Wofford, a different level. And they have the guy that does underhand free throws, too.
Yes, you're saying that the Wofford fan base is the most electric fan base you've ever encountered in all of your travels.
In the sense that, obviously they're a much smaller fan base. I will say maybe aggressive is the right term. Louisville fans also quite aggressive. They were an angry bunch. Respected that, though. They were Wofford, I won't say is the most amazing fan base, just because we do get to go to a lot of cool games, which thank you for that. Hey, and if you want to go to a lot of cool games, you can download the Game Time app. What time is it? Game time. Download the Game Time app and redeem code Lucy, not Dan, for $20 off your first purchase.
She's so good at this.
She's really good at it.
It's amazing.
She's good.
This is why she's a rising star in the business, that all the sponsors want to be around her. Billy, you were very excited by.
No, it's just the transitions have been seamless. I don't know if you've even noticed this, and the fans on YouTube can notice it. While she's doing new spots, the logo in the corner changes. She talks about Game Time. There's a Game Time logo. There's a Priceline logo. There's a Jimmy John's logo. It's incredible.
Early rounds in the women's tournament. I found the men's stuff to be disappointing, and I wanted more, and usually the chalk in the women's tournament advances easily early on, and that's not a lot of fun to watch.
I don't necessarily know if it's not a lot of fun to watch. I think that watching what UConn did to Arkansas State is fun in a sick, sadistic, twisted way. That tends to be sort of the case with the women's tournament. I don't know if it's just the talent gap between the best teams in women's college basketball, or the fact that it's, at home venues. But I thought it was a pretty decent start. You did get one pretty notable upset in Kansas State beating Kentucky that ends Georgia Amore's college career. And she was electric this year at Kentucky and was just must-see TV when she was at Virginia Tech. And so I thought that was a pretty big upset. That game went into overtime, ended up being a pretty good one. Kansas State, they are always a sneaky team, but I view it less of the sense where the men's tournament, we're very used to the 15 beating the 2 every year, or something nutty or crazy happening. So you kind of have to take a different approach of you're watching the women's tournament to watch the best at what they do, or you're watching the men's tournament for slop and upsets and craziness. And so I thought the first round, which is still going on today, there's still some more games happening, has been pretty good for the women so far.
Good seeing you. Keep cashing those checks. The sponsors love you. Take care.
You're welcome for making you all this money.
Both of us. It's not. I don't get it all. Zaslow was mentioning, and we were talking earlier about his 16-year-old son. Do you realize there's a whole segment of people, as he was mentioning, that don't know anything about Charles Barkley's basketball career and don't remember anything about George Foreman as a boxer? Zaz's son is being introduced for the first time to David Sampson.
So my son's at an age at 16 where his friends, they're all on social media, and his friends say, hey, look at this clip. It's your dad on the Le Batard Show, the other day. And okay, my son's not that impressed with it, but he then he looks at the comments, and my son said, goes, I gotta tell you, the comments, people really liked you. And I go, it'll even out. All right, don't worry about that. And then he says, I'll tell you who they don't like. And I'm like, oh, okay. Who? He goes, that Sampson guy. And so I laughed, and he doesn't know who he is, though. I said, do you know who David Sampson is? He thinks he's just a personality on your show. And I guess that makes sense. If you're 16 and David Sampson hasn't been the president of the Marlins in, 7 years? It makes sense. Yeah, he was the president of the Marlins. He swindled the city and got the stadium. Everybody hates him. They're cheap, whatever. But he...
those were the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, those are
That's it.
That's what you lead with, right?
Yeah, $2 billion FEU.
Yeah, so he has been introduced to David. You know who they don't like? That Sampson guy.
What would you do if you are Cooper Flagg with your future? Does anyone out here want to play at the bottom rung of the NBA ladder? I asked this question watching that Charlotte team that has never played a meaningful basketball game, and I've watched Anthony Mason and Jamal Mashburn. That franchise does not know what it is to play a meaningful basketball game, and
never even been to a conference finals. That franchise.
well, but I mean, Michael Jordan, one of the great disasters in ownership, except for he makes money on his way out, but nothing good happened there the entire time he was there.
They look like they were onto something. Then Dwayne Wade murdered the guy in the purple shirt.
Yeah, purple shirt guy ended everything for them. They were trending up for the first time in franchise history.
Something was happening there, and then Dwayne Wade said, "Sit your ass down." Nothing since.
That is kind of the history of it. But Charlotte hasn't played a meaningful game since.
Yeah, the headband.
Oh, it was crazy.
And you're going to go play as Cooper Flagg for a team worse than Charlotte?
So I've talked about this a bit recently on ESPN Radio with Cooper Flagg, where we're in an age where, okay, he could make as much staying another year at Duke as he would his first-year salary, almost as much maybe, in the NBA, even if he's the number 1 overall pick. You enter the draft, you see the Wizards or the Hornets. These are godforsaken franchises, okay? I don't want to go play there. You pull out of the draft, you're going to go back to school at Duke, because being the big man on campus, pretty awesome, really fun life, and you're going to make a lot of money. But the pushback that I've gotten, and it is interesting, the pushback that I've gotten is if you stay another year in school, you're delaying yourself another year of getting that first contract after your rookie deal. And that first contract, by the time he gets there 5 years from now, I mean, it's like a $200+ million deal.
The thing about money to me and these conversations that are most interesting is I wonder if I go back to retired athlete and say, hey, at 50 or 60, what would you pay to have another year of college before it became the big giant business of pressure? Because one of the things that happens when you arrive at these kinds of successes and become an economy for things is that you get to the pros and now it's just a lot of responsibilities. You thought it was going to be fun, but you're running a business and you might like the playing. You're not going to like actually very much the practices and the shoot-arounds and all the meticulous sculpting in basketball. But if I gave anybody in our audience, how much would you pay to go back and have a year of college as Cooper Flagg, not as yourself?
Oh, my God.
Not as yourself, as Cooper Flagg. What would you pay to have another year of that before you go become Kyle Kuzma and just start wandering around alleys in Washington because, 9,000 people are watching your games?
How about the kids that got drafted out of high school? Would you ask them, would you rather have gone to college instead of going straight to the pros?
I mean, the reality is these endorsements are carrying over either way, right? So, you're going to make $12 or $13 million as the number 1 overall pick in your base salary that you make $0 in your base salary in college, and all the endorsements that you're getting, the quote-unquote NIL deals. This is the same conversation we were having about Caitlin Clark last year. About, if she stayed at Iowa, she'd get all this NIL money, but you're still going to get all of the sponsorships that come with NIL money if you're in the NBA. And wherever Cooper Flagg goes, if he stays for another year, what makes you guys think that the Wizards and the Hornets aren't going to be the 2 worst teams in the NBA next year?
Draft is still amongst bad teams next year.
Right, but it's a lottery. It's not the NFL draft where the worst team, and they're going to be terrible again, and the worst team
give
gets
up
that
$12.6 million. That's what the number 1 overall pick got this year in base salary. Give up $12.6 million so that maybe next year the ping pong balls go the right direction for you.
And you get another year of college. It's why I'm asking you about the price. I'm asking
why is college a fun thing for Cooper Flagg? Hanging out at Duke?
Fun.
Do you want to go to Louisville and Blacksburg and Charlottesville and all these other ACC places every week, or do you want to play in the NBA? Yeah. I think he's probably having a fun time because he's in college, but I think it would be more fun to be a professional basketball
player. It's also really cool being an NBA player.
He's definitely having a fun time in college, but it's not just about which is more fun, being the big man on campus at Duke or being a professional player in the number 1 overall pick. It's about what is going to play for Washington or Charlotte going to do to my career.
So let me ask you guys a different portion of this because I guess everyone's in agreement. Wow, the NBA seems like it's fun. I'll get new friends. But I want to just explore for a moment the idea that whenever I talk to these professionals who have made all the money, they talk about where their regrets are and how it changed from college to the pros in terms of money and responsibility. It may be different now because college was no money, and so a lot of them were broke together, and we can romanticize it, the Christmases that were terrible once you get to the good Christmases. But when I tell you that this group of people that I've talked to over the years always say that before it became a business, it was a different kind of treasure. And it's something I was doing with my friends where then I went to go work with my coworkers. What would you give for a year? Because it's not just big man on campus. It's big man on campus with your friends. And you can say make new friends, but I'm telling you, now you're wearing a lot of responsibility in the pros, and you're not going to get away with the stuff that you were doing in college as the big man on campus. What's that worth to you? The dream. Because if everyone says they want to be a rock star or an athlete so that they can, get fame and sex and money, he can have all of that at Duke.
Yeah, but he's an 18-year-old. It's not like he's finishing up his 4th year and he's choosing to leave a year early. Like, he was a mercenary and he went to Duke, and he's going to turn it down to go to frat parties? Like, his dream is to go to the NBA, not hang out with the Duke boys.
It's also like 2 of his teammates are going to be top, 5 to 10 picks anyway. Also, they're going to leave. So all the friends that he's hanging out with, that's going to change. And I would imagine he gets away with more at the NBA level. Like, you're talking about all these things, you could do and be the big man on campus at Duke. I would imagine the structure of being on a college basketball team is probably even more limiting than it would be playing in the NBA.
Also, the hubris of somebody who's going to be the number 1 pick and has been the best player and has been told they're the best player for the last 5 years of their life. That idea is like, I'm going to go to Charlotte and I'm going to be the reason why they're good. I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to be the reason why we're going to turn it around.
That is true. These guys have that ego where they believe they're going to be the reason for the winning. But man, like, we were probably saying the same type of stuff, and I know injury plays a role, but Zion Williamson was supposed to be that guy. You're going to draft him number 1 overall, and he's going to turn your franchise around. And it's like, hey, he's with an organization that, has never really done anything, and now he's toiling away there, and they're still kind of a garbage franchise.
But he made a lot more money because he left after being a rookie than getting hurt at Duke. Like, Cooper Flagg just got lucky that ankle injury wasn't a lot worse. If he gets through this March Madness unscathed, this man has to go to the NBA draft, because if you risk another potentially big injury like Zion would have had in college, then you never get that contract.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, Zion escaped it. That shoe thing could have been a disaster for Zion. Why would you risk getting injured in college for $4 million in NIL money when you can get a $12 million guaranteed base salary next year?
Yeah, but we're talking about that like as if the career-ending injuries are a common thing. It's like, that doesn't really happen anymore.
But it's one less contract, right? Think of Jimmy Butler's a perfect example here
it's
of
1 year
at the end of his
away.
career. Right, but at the end of Jimmy Butler's career here, right, he's getting one last contract at a certain age. If he were 1 or 2 years older, maybe he doesn't get that deal he just got with the Warriors because of an extra year of wear and tear. So by entering the league later, you're shorting yourself of one last contract. And right now, the contract that they're giving out to a max player at 35, 36-year-old is 2 years, $120 million. Imagine what that's going to be when Cooper Flagg is there 15 years from now. You might be missing out on that last payday because you didn't go for 1 more year of college where you can make $5 million. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make, when we're talking about dollars and cents, this one is so interesting to me, because if I ask hypothetical person X, hey, you're going to have made $100 million in your life, would you like to go back and have another year of something that felt more like childhood for $7 million, for $6 million, for, would you like another year before the responsibilities? I'd just be curious what the answers are. I know what all your perspectives are.
Well, you're asking all people who are retired, who already made all of that money, who are longing for a day that they thought was the good old days, that when they were in it probably weren't so happy.
Also, it's not playing big-time college hoops at Duke. It's not something akin to childhood. It is like a job. Yeah. You're getting paid significantly less than if you have that actual job in the NBA with a collectively bargained base salary. So it's not like, I mean, it's a lot of work. Yeah. You're going back to college to do a lot of work, and for someone who's been the best basketball player in his town and now at his college, he probably wants to play against the best basketball players in the world, which play in the NBA. It's why he was part of all of the USA basketball camps this summer and was playing with Steph Curry and LeBron and practicing with them before the Olympics.
Duke was a business trip for Cooper Flagg. It wasn't like fun college time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awfully absolute.
It's a stop on his journey. His goal wasn't to go to Duke and attend there for 4 years.
I get, but you're doing it absolutely. I don't even disagree with you, but you're making the NBA huge fun at every turn. I'm going to all these cities.
I don't think Duke is fun, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Probably not.
Give me a list of places to go. Duke's not on it.
It's, well, I mean, that's not the definition.
You give me a list of places to go to have fun. Duke is not on that list.
I guess what I'm getting at is
Dollywood.
if he declares for, and he will, if he declares for the NBA draft, and then you got the draft lottery at the end of May, and the Washington Wizards win that draft lottery, no one is sitting down and having just a conversation saying, look, you would be a year further away from getting that next huge contract, but also let's consider, do you want to play somewhere where you're winning 25 games every single season? Is that going to make you happy?
And just as this last point, which one do you guys imagine is more fun? Just curious when you say playing against the best right now. The person, the LaMelo Ball or Cooper Flagg?
It can't be fun. What
But
LaMelo
he's
Ball's doing.
guys. Next year, the NBA draft lottery is going to be won by a bad team. Also, like, what's the confusion here? He's not going to be drafted by like the Lakers.
No, there's a difference between a bad team and like a poorly run team. Utah is a really bad team. Danny Ainge knows what he's doing. You know, if Utah gets the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg is likely going to be in a really good situation. If the Wizards get the number 1 overall pick, he's going to be in a terrible situation.
He keep losing. All of a sudden, that ping pong ball for the Heat. 4%
Ethical
chance, 5%
tanking.
chance,
Ethical
6%
tanking.
chance. Could have had Wembanyama.
You can't do that. Culture.
Let me
prohibits that.
ask you guys something about changing viewing habits that I have not yet caught up to, and I feel bad about this, that this is still something that surprises me because of my old patterns. When Robert De Niro quietly appears on Netflix with a new movie, I don't understand a Robert De Niro movie appearing quietly on Netflix.
It's getting panned, right?
Well, Robert De Niro hasn't made anything good in a very long time, and it's why I wanted to ask the shipping container about what their assessment of Robert De Niro is, because I'm going to say it's been 15 years since.
Well, and he's also in a show on Netflix too right now, right?
Robert De Niro wants to work, loves to work, and I'm not even criticizing the end of his career because the work has not been very good, and not to his standard as one of the best actors that there's ever been. But I don't know how you guys, when we talk about Charles Barkley, some people don't remember him as a player. We've now had enough De Niro movies that aren't any good that a whole lot of people might not know that De Niro's good.
That's the guy from Meet the Fockers, right?
That's correct.
And Dirty Grandpa.
Oh, my.
Oh, right. Dirty
Do you think
Grandpa.
Robert De Niro would do an extra year at Stella Adler Studio of Acting?
How do you guys think of Robert De Niro?
I mean,
I think he's cashing checks at this point, if we're being honest. Is he not? I mean, come on, he's 81.
He was in a Best Picture nominated film a year ago. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, yeah,
He
that's
was
right.
he was like
Yeah.
the lead.
Sure.
Him and Leo
That's a
were the lead.
Scorsese movie. That's respectable.
Okay, you know what? It is true, but all of you forgot it when I was talking
I
about it.
didn't. I just brought it up. I think I'm also the only one that probably watched that movie because it was very long.
Yeah, that movie looked
but
long.
it
Yeah,
was a
everyone
good
told us not to
movie.
watch it because it was too
Speaking
long.
of long, remember when he tried to kick it, the guy in The Irishman? I think that's when I was like, I'm good, actually. I'll go back and watch it in Godfather 2.
Zaslow, you weren't believing Hurley yesterday. Incidentally,
this guy.
So Florida has empirically what is being rated by the people who do the analytics best, the best offense we've seen in the sport in a decade. Their free throws were a problem yesterday, and UConn stayed with them all game. UConn has been not bad for them this season, and Hurley has been someone who publicly has shown us more of himself than we've ever seen, and he's got jagged edges. He's arrogant. He's
brutal.
He will be somebody that can be not liked in his pursuit of championships as people watch him. And yesterday he leaves the court losing by 2, and it's not a graceful exit.
I mean, he's leaving the floor essentially accusing the referees of cheating. Hey, you lost to the number 1 seed in the region, a team who, only behind Duke, everyone else is picking Florida to win the national championship. You didn't lose because of cheating. I mean, this guy, they won the national championship the last 2 years, winning every game by double figures. I mean, all the games were. I think the closest one was UM, where they lost by, where they won by 13. That was like the closest game. And now, when they finally lose, he's accusing the officials of cheating, yelling to Baylor, "I hope they don't F you the way they F'd us." And then he gets to the press conference, and with the crocodile tears, my God. Oh, he is a rough watch. Get out of here. He is so unlikable.
Crocodile tears?
Crocodile. That means phony tears.
Thank you. Thank you for the definition. Can you please play the sound of Hurley off the court, even though Zaz did a pretty good reenactment?
I hope they don't do that to you, Baylor. I hope they don't do that to you, guys.
Does he really hope they don't do that to Baylor? Like, he's thinking of himself right now.
He hopes he do.
Their season ended. And, God, I hope Baylor doesn't have that happen to them. What's going to happen to Baylor?
What are you laughing about, Billy?
I mean, he's right. He's not thinking about Baylor at that moment.
God, is Baylor going to be okay? I got to go tell them I hope it doesn't happen to them. Get out of here.
I like you leaning away from the microphone and just shouting, sort of belching.
I don't want to be too loud, that's why.
No, but the way you characterized that as how Hurley did it did not quite match the video, because in the video, he's in a suit and he is walking with his back a little further back than it should be, and he's not helping Baylor nor trying to help Baylor. He's just hissing in anger because his team was pretty close and shouldn't have been, because they're not as good as Florida by a long shot. That was a 10-point underdog they were in that game. But when you lean back from the microphone and do it with the casual arrogance of
his arrogance
of Hurley, it's something that made me think of a conversation we were having last week about Elon Musk and likability. Okay, who are the people in sports who are universally likable? I know, Seth Curry, many of you are tired of the storyline, almost so impossibly sweet as if you've grown bored of how impossibly sweet it is. But when you think of likable people across sports, who gets to be the opposite of Hurley? Because I enjoy, obviously, the coaches. Pete Carrolls of the world are fine. It's nice to be around. But I enjoy these people who are hissing monsters of showing you their vanities, showing you their arrogance, showing you when they're pissed off that they don't care how it looks, that you don't like them.
I don't like nasty people. I think it's a pretty easy way for me to sum up how I feel about Dan Hurley. He comes off as a nasty man.
He does, but he's a champion, and usually we like that. We were fine with that, too. I mean, he comes off as nasty. He was plenty likable the last 2 years before this one.
Right, so what happened this year?
He was kind of a competitive asshole then, too, right? Like, even when he was winning championships, most people felt the way that Zaz does right now, which is like, hey, he's a great coach, and he's led them to this unbelievable run, capitalizing on, let's be real, a couple of the worst years in college basketball history. But going and winning back-to-back national championships, he just seemed like this kind of jerk toward everybody. But that was okay because it was masked with winning.
You know, they win back-to-back national champions, and then they finally lose. He's crying. Like, actually crying on the podium.
I actually found that likable.
No, I found it fake.
Crocodile tears.
Really?
Can you imagine him with a massive megaphone like being the Lakers head coach and what he would be doing there?
He'd be an awful NBA coach.
He must regret that one.
He wouldn't have made it through the first year.
No.
Fired.
LeBron would have gotten him out of there.
Awful. He missed his window. He'll never be an NBA coach. Never.
I like that.
I own that statement.
Let's play for everybody the sound of Stugotz not knowing what crocodile tears are. When we were at that Jay Wakefield event and 1,000 people come out and we see the shipping container and they're on a stage and they're like rock stars. You and me both had tears in our eyes. We're like mom and dad of sentiment, and it's hard to get you to sentiment, man.
I still want the end. It's almost what I want, but you're right. That was a very emotional moment for us. To see those guys running that particular appearance was very, I'm telling you guys, you were on stage. Dan and I were both crying. Are you guys aware of this? Crying.
Yeah,
like crocodile tears.
We believe crocodile tears are fake. Crocodile tears are fake.
I thought they meant big.
Where is Stugotz?
I miss that guy.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Stat of the day is brought to you by Evan Williams Bourbon, game day's #1 pour. Evan Williams, Kentucky, straight bourbon whiskey. Bardstown, Kentucky, 43 to 45% alcohol by volume. Enjoy responsibly, 21 and over. For the first time in 1,102 days, UConn has lost a tournament game. Wow.
Zaslow's anger and hostility toward Hurley. Can you explain to me when I say to you, and you're right to make the correction, Hurley was the same person and you may not have liked it, but winning does indeed mask, and especially the correlation that we make causation when one of these people is a jerk and we say, well, that's why he wins. He's rewarded for it because look at the disciplinarian that he is. But I don't think that those are insincere tears. I think that man cares so obsessive, compulsive, deeply that, of course, he would break emotionally and wouldn't even want people to see that, I don't think, because of whatever it is his guards are about needing to be leader guy.
I mean, wouldn't you think that the real person is the one who is caught candidly coming off the floor as opposed to the guy who knows I'm about to get in front of media and cameras, okay, this is what I want to say.
I believe the tears. What I don't believe is that he said he'll never love a team as much as he loved this team.
Wouldn't you love a team that won the national
He
championship
just
more?
won back-to-back championships.
Yeah, he's a liar.
That one, come on.
To Zaslow's point, when he didn't know the camera was on, he was behaving like a spoiled brat, screaming and cursing.
Yeah.
And then when he knew the camera was going to be on and he had time to compose himself, all of a sudden he's crying and I love everybody so much. I'm this great leader.
I hope Baylor doesn't get screwed like we did.
You know what that was? Salesman. He turned the salesman, and we talked about it last week. All of a sudden, you're a head coach, you're a CEO, you're a salesman. You know what? This guy cares about his team. They lost, but he cares. All of a sudden, I'm going to commit to UConn.
And he cares about Baylor because he's worried that they're going to get screwed like they did.
I feel like we're saying that Dan Hurley's a better actor than Robert De Niro.
Wow.
Zaslow leaned back from the microphone and shouted it like a man at a bar, a bar he sort of owns, casually being arrogant around others. Just, I hope they don't bleep you. Like the way they bleeped us, just like loud enough for the refs to hear. He wasn't really doing it for us or the cameras, right? It was just the refs were somewhere behind.
Well, no, he also could be doing it because he wants some NIL transfers. You know what I mean? Like in a transfer portal situation, there's someone he's eyeing on Baylor. Like, hey, good luck out there. I hope they don't screw you like, they screwed us. And then offseason comes, and all of a sudden he's talking to them. He's like, I got $2 million for you if you want. Remember when I was worried about you in the tournament? Like, oh, yeah, coach, you cared so much about me. Boom.
Remember, I was the coach who, when our game ended, our season ended, we're no longer national champions. First thing I thought of was, let me go seek out where's Baylor? I got to let them know. I hope you don't get screwed like we did.
There are many unusual things about the mysterious and magical Zaslow. Let me choose one. Are you still someone who eats donuts that don't have sugar on them?
I don't eat things with my hands that get messy. That's what it boils down to.
Is he not a wings guy?
No
ribs.
No, and no ribs. No,
Not
all
even
over the
fork and
face.
knife?
It's not worth it. Look like an idiot. Don't do it.
No food that you would hold with your hand.
That will make me messy. Like I'll eat pizza. Okay,
That'll get you messy, though. You get a saucy
messy.
pie.
What are you, 2 years old?
You
No.
get a saucy pie, all of a sudden you got a little, little schmutz.
I'm an adult. I could eat pizza without getting messy. But the ribs, the wings, it's not worth it. They don't taste good enough for the cleanup process that takes place.
That's
afterwards.
insane.
You are a crazy person.
We have both ends of the spectrum here because Jess doesn't eat certain things with like a fork and knife, by my understanding.
I just eat everything with my hands.
Good for you.
Donuts, though, if it has sugar on it, you're not eating it?
It's too messy. It's too messy. The icing, I don't do that either. Icing's overrated, man. I don't need icing.
Like glaze?
Give me. I love my favorite donut. Okay, what you're getting at is my go-to donut every time I go to Dunkin'. Give me that plain stick.
Ugh.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company in New York, New York.
I have noticed, as many of you have, that over the last 10 years, whatever the conversation is about race, or whether it's race in sports or race in politics, that it has gotten, in some instances, unfathomably dumb, as when Mina Kimes finds herself in quote-unquote controversy talking about Jackie Robinson because of how ridiculous the behavior is around any of these conversations. I'm going to talk later in the show with Jemele Hill about the general dumbness of everything that happened last week, where it's like, that is not a smart race conversation. Stephen A. Smith ending up with wanting to debate Donald Trump on DEI from that as the starting point, with saying that RG3 wasn't liked by the people at ESPN, and RG3 longing for when games just used to be games in coverage. Like, that controversy is one of the dumbest I've seen in my lifetime, as we're supposed to be evolving this conversation.
But Stephen A. Smith debating Donald Trump is Super Bowl numbers on television, right?
That would be electric.
It's my worst nightmare.
I hate it so much.
I mean, maybe a presidential candidate coming up with Stephen A. Smith. Man, it can happen.
Again, my worst nightmare.
You guys just want to. The Super Bowl?
It would be.
You're telling me there are people at home. You know, a lot of people like sports. A lot of people in this country like sports. If you said to this person, Stephen A. Smith is debating President Trump tonight, they're not watching? Everyone's watching.
Pay-per-view numbers. That'd be massive.
Pay-per-view numbers aren't very good.
But the point is, it would be pay-per-view behind a paywall.
It'd make a comeback.
Exactly.
Big comeback.
You have to pay in Trump coin?
Oh, good God, man. I hate this so damn much. I hate it so much. Like, you want to talk about doing shows, you want to split off sports and politics during a sports show. Jackie Robinson's entire life was politics. He couldn't play Major League Baseball until 1947, where he was the first person to break the color barrier. Like, what are we doing here? Like, he had to play Negro League Baseball. Like, I don't know what RG3 is talking about. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It makes me so angry.
Can you guys look up for me just the history of the phrase color barrier? Because I want to explore something here that I do not know, because it's not an actual barrier. But when I think of whatever that is meant to represent, I think of Jackie Robinson. There is not another name. I don't know what a color barrier is, if not for Jackie Robinson as representation. I don't know the history of that phrase.
I mean, Rosa Parks had a color barrier too.
Agreed, but I'm saying I don't know what a barrier, where that phrase once started.
It's here. It's with Jackie Robinson. Apparently, they called it the color line, but also referred to as the color barrier. And it literally, by definition, it says the color line, also known as the color barrier, in American baseball excluded players of black African descent from Major League Baseball and its affiliated minor leagues until 1947. It's Jackie Robinson who broke it, and that's exactly where the term comes from.
So that is the history, and that is the fact, and we are in the process of rewriting history through everything from banned books to arguments about censorship, and they're just distracting, right? You need to understand that Mina Kimes is being used there for how she looks and whatever her political ideology is as a tool to then ensnare RG3, and it's how you do it. It's how you win. You just pit the sides against each other, let them devour each other in the stupidity, and you run off with all the money and try and make Gaza a luxury resort strip, like with the richest man in the world in your office. Like, that's how all that happens. You have all the money in the world, and you've cheapened every principle there is in America.
Well, here's the thing about a color barrier, because every black person had a color barrier back in 1947 and before that, because it was Jim Crow back then. It was segregation. Like, you couldn't eat at white restaurants or drink water from a white water fountain. That's how things went back then.
I need a sorbet of some sort, Jeremy. I'm going to put you in a tough spot here. I'm going to need a transition here that is light and breezy. Can you give me something that you came in here after a couple of days off, dying to talk about today, that can transition us from the conversation that makes Roy so angry into something a little lighter?
Well, it's a perfect conversation transition because it's still baseball oriented. Did you guys see what happened with the Orioles AA affiliate, the Chesapeake Bay Sox?
No.
Because they are going to have a unique name for select games this season. Just like the Pensacola Blue Wahoos became the Pensacola Mullets for select games, the Chesapeake Oyster Catchers is the name. And here's the logo of what they used for the Chesapeake Oyster Catchers. Now,
like it.
I don't know about you guys, but that oyster also looks like something else to me.
I like the logo. What's wrong with it?
For the audio audience, it's a baseball glove, and the glove caught an oyster, and in the oyster, it's a pearl that looks like
Dan, can you find the baseball?
Is it inside the vagina?
I think you found it.
What?
It's an oyster.
I thought the transition was going to be Jeremy singing his song about color barriers.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. No.
He seems to have a song for
He's an
everything,
ally, though. He could whip one up.
Is there not a
I am an ally.
Is there not a marketing department here? Is there not a how does
Oh,
that,
there is, and that's why they ended up with that logo.
What's the story? What is the backstory? What is now happening around this wonderful logo?
What's happening around it is great because they released it, and what's funny is it seems as though they might not have had anyone catch that on the front end, but after they tweeted from their official account, some saw an oyster, others saw something unexpected. We see an opportunity to turn viral laughs into positive impact. In celebration of Women's History Month, 10% of all Oyster Catchers merch sales will support I Am Survivor, which is a cervical cancer education center.
This is
So
why
it really worked out
diversity,
perfectly.
Equity, inclusion
Yes.
is important because in a diverse workplace, someone may have said, hey, this actually looks like a vagina.
Yep.
So when I mentioned that Jeremy yesterday was doing that report on advancing through dancing, and the Heat, by the way, have been doing for a while now a celebration of women, that if we're going to make the RG3 Jackie Robinson conversation about politics, this then too would be the Heat aggressively being political by simply celebrating women during their broadcast, which is a choice the Heat have made. That is now a political choice. That's a political choice.
I don't know that it's political. I know that they have been doing this for several years now, and specifically the Advancing Through Dancing cause is really great because it's a professional leadership workshop for everyone who's a Heat dancer. And ultimately, at the end of it, what they did was they gave out a $10,000 grant to the winner who pitched what her business would be. She runs a nonprofit. And ultimately, she's going to use that money to help get her pilot's license because it has to do with aviation and being able to spread for a good cause. But it's like it's inherently criticized. Like if you go to social media and you see any of these posts, particularly with the Heat, like even the celebrations for Women's History Month, all you're going to see is replies of people saying, fire Pat Riley.
I mean, of course, it's political to celebrate women's inclusions in sports. It's political to have women included in the workforce in this country. We still have very backwards laws that don't really let women and especially mothers continue their careers in this country. Like we don't have a lot of things that other countries have. It's all political, Dan. Yes.
And to bring it back to the Jackie Robinson part of it, right? Like that's why diversity, equity, and inclusion is important. Like DEI again, we talked about this a little bit on Friday, but that phrase has been hijacked and turned into just a symbol for everything that the right doesn't like, no different than woke was, no different than critical race theory was, and no different than Black Lives Matter was. They just keep taking these terms, they turn them into abbreviated terms, BLM, CRT, DEI, so that nobody actually knows what the words are. But diversity, equity, and inclusion are the reasons why you're able to build up a workforce that is able to produce something that's better than it would have been if it was just a bunch of white dudes.
I asked you for a palate cleanser.
I tried. I always bring it back there.
We ended up in exactly the same
It
place.
wasn't a palate cleanser at all. It's the same palate. What happened here? I didn't get cleansed. I'm in the same thing.
Jemele will fix this.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'd love to get all your thoughts on the matter.
On what, Jackie Robinson? I stand with Jackie.
Both of you.
The crazy thing about this is, like, the story was not about the removal of the article, right? It quickly just became a story about Mina during FaceTime on Around the Horn. And that's what the debate became about. Like, the outrage wasn't even about the action. It was about the reacting to the action, which is kind of like
usage of her television time.
Yeah, it was like, you guys are getting mad about the wrong thing here.
Right.
So I'll tell you some backstory here. It is dated, but just so that you know the choices that are being made in media at the moment around this kind of stuff, as you have legal rulings over the weekend where people are afraid of Trump and his money. And in this small little stupid playground of sports, a long time ago, me, Mitch Albom, and Mike Lupica wrote like these 2-minute things.
The sports reporters.
No.
What a show.
No, it's not this. Please. It's not a parting shot on sports reporters. That was one thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying weekly on SportsCenter, their signature property, Disney and ESPN, proud of this thing that is meant to represent their company as the proudest thing, built on SportsCenter. In there, they would put these 2-minute things that we wrote that were meant to be journalistically sound. Here's where the opinion is right here on whatever, politics or whatever. As you know, Stain takes off into the sky on pointing out in sports to people that the size of difference between the liberal media person and the average sports fan is larger than the size of the average media person in America and the average journalist by leaps and bounds. That in sports you will find this anti-black, anti-gay, anti-women. You'll find it more in sports proportionally, and other audiences are now feeding on that in communities where they can do this stuff like yell about DEI and then do the gender politics stuff that can allow trans people to be killed at a disproportionate rate and be good with it. We had 2 minutes on SportsCenter, and after, we did this for about a year, and the focus groups came back clearly. We don't want that. We don't like that. I want, when my opinion is also expressed by somebody, I want 2 people talking about that idea, not one person telling me what their idea is. And so then from there, all the things that are more inclusive are birthed, and Stephen A. Smith can become the star he can, going right, going left, and be just super inclusive everywhere and become a giant wrestling star that could fight with the president in debate at the height of the stupidity of the sports debate, where in sports, we're supposed to be leaders on this stuff, and I'm showing you a place where that stuff was actively said by the consumer. I don't want that. And then the people with the FU money comply, because that's what all the corporations are going to do that have the FU money. And now they will bow in front of this money with Musk and Trump because they're scared of the way all of the mess can be wielded. Like, I can't unsee the way all of these corporations after George Floyd said all the right. And I can't unsee the way it all went back to being exactly like it was, with an even worse backlash. And now making the sports argument, it's not even Kaepernick anymore. It's this garbage. Like, it's just nonsense. We're going to argue whether Jackie Robinson was historically relevant because of race. Like, we're going to make it so stupid that you just can't have a conversation about it, that no one's changing their minds about everything. We're just going to be fighting till the end of time until we blow each other up.
I mean, it's the death of expertise, right? Like, that's kind of what's happened this century, is no one cares to listen to someone who has researched or studied or has become an expert on whatever their topic is. They want to hear both sides of the conversation. It's why we let Mike Ryan talk about the Heat when I'm talking about the Heat, because people want to hear the uneducated side when there's an expert right here who can tell you everything that's happening
I
factually.
thought we were cleansing the palate here.
Well, to be fair, we were cleansing the palate with the cute little oyster glove, and then Dan was like, what about the Heat's Women in Sports Day?
Yeah,
right
I tried to
after
make a
that.
joke about finding the baseball. You get it, Dan? Because of the spot that it is in the oyster? You get it?
No, Jeremy.
I can't see it either.
The humor is so highbrow.
It was lost on you?
Yeah.
You want a behind-the-scenes
Love you
story,
too, Dan.
Yes.
So we're doing this March Sadness tournament that's going on, and the fans love it. It's great. So we're doing March Sadness, and one of the video submissions was a new character, but the file got corrupted before this person could make it into March Sadness. So I don't know if you're aware, but we have this character, Zazo, called Misogynistic Bane, who makes appearances from time to time.
Okay.
And we had a fan who created a character that was feminist Darth Vader. And it was an incredible character where Darth Vader would come out and be praising Caitlin Clark. And then when we tried to submit it and put it into the system, the file got corrupted, and then it couldn't be tracked down. So if you're out there, feminist Darth Vader, feel free to reach out and send us more videos. Or if there's a lot of fake feminist Darth Vaders out there who now want to run with this idea, I have no way of knowing which one the real one of you was. So feel free to send in all of your feminist Darth Vader videos, and we'll be sure to try to include them in the show moving forward.
I don't know what the reaction is, and I don't want to know
Very positive.
what the reaction is. Can we just give a brief update on some of the advancers? Can we just play some of the advancers? And I'd like to start a different tournament right now just to make this a little messier. So
So this is what we can do. So we've been putting out some of the competitions against each other, and we have two of the competitions that were going against each other, two of the games that fans could vote on to see which fan moves on to the next round. So the first round, it was tell us why you should watch a game with Dan, or tell us why you're the biggest fan of the show. There was some confusion there. Then the next one was tell us some of your favorite show moments, and then the fans go on and they vote for who it is that they want to advance. So here are two of the matchups that we have. We're down to our Sweet 16 now. Things are getting serious. This Thursday and Friday, we're going to have our Sweet 16 matchups, and then Saturday and Sunday is our Elite 8. Things are winding down very quickly here, and one of the things that we've found in the past when we would have Looks Like, which fans didn't really like that tournament, but when we had the Looks Like tournament, or we'd have some of the other tournaments, it would be the same thing over and over again, so there was a fatigue, and you kind of knew the number one seed, you know exactly what you're going to get. Every time it gets played, it's the same thing. In this tournament, they're submitting new videos with new prompts every single round, so you could very easily have an off round, and the number one seed gets bounced. In fact, I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who are catching up on March Sadness on Twitter or whatever, who are going back and watching them and following along, not in real time. We all know Wednesday is Spoiler Wednesday. On Wednesday, Zazo, you don't know this. Unfortunately, you won't be here this Wednesday. Wednesday, Spoiler Wednesday. That's the day we can talk about the Sunday shows. So I'm not going to spoil what happened in March Sadness over the weekend.
It's a Wild Billy Wednesday, which is strange to me that we're putting some rules in Wild Billy
Spoiler Wednesday. Well, the wild thing is we come and we spoil shows, but they've had 4 days to watch a show at that point in time. The point being, some of the heavyweights that we thought were going to go far in the first round had a dud of a second round and have been bounced. And I need to check my scorecard. I believe there's only one number one seed left in this tournament at this point in time.
Well, let's just get me updated here.
All right, so here's two of our matchups. Here we're going to head over to Region 4 for one of our matchups.
Who the hell is Tony spitting facts? Stuff we cannot look at yet. Mike Ryan don't know where he's at. Oh no, he's broken now. Tripping on the couch, ouch. Falling to the board for Steve Cornhack. I mean, it's lost control. And Izzy can't stop looking for Sugar Daddy.
Amazing.
My favorite moment was the arrival of Peepo and his pure passion for the U. But I'm in this tournament for one reason, to make it to Miami and collect a debt. Greg, You flip-flop more than a Hialeah Chancleta. You're so crooked, I feel like your next career stop will be the mayor of Miami. I mean, your last article that got clicks came from stabbing your best friend in the back. Cody, pay your bets. You're no journalist. You're a con artist. Tu sabes.
Whoa.
Well, I have a conundrum that I found
Was
myself.
the first one
and
Jeremy?
us in. The first one actually did a Jeremy cover on the first round, and he
Really?
did the Pink Pony Club, and he was dressed as a unicorn, and he won in advance. And this round, spoiler alert, Brad the Bard was eliminated. Brandon threatening Cody has moved on. Now, here's kind of something that we might have been worried about, and if I'm going to be truthful, in our selection committee, which is me and Kugler, we went through the videos, and there were certain people that we said, there might be a red flag here. Like this might be this might potentially be something that Frankie's going to have to intervene on. Frankie's our security guard, as everybody knows. So here's the thing: Brandon now has advanced in Brad the Bard, and Brandon apparently made some sort of bet with Greg Cote in Las Vegas when we were there at the Super Bowl. And his first video, he was saying he's found a workaround where if he wins this tournament, he comes down to Miami and he intends to collect on this bet with Greg Cote. And truth be told, I think he was a 16 seed, so I thought Brandon's not going to move on. Like, it's fine. We can. And then Brandon moved on and upset a number 1 seed. And now Brandon, as a 16 seed, has now eliminated a number 8 seed. And apparently these threats to Greg Cote are a thread that are going to continue throughout these rounds. So I'm now starting to wonder what this bet was, because I have absolutely no frame of reference why it is that he keeps lightly threatening Greg Cote, and if we will be responsible if he actually wins and comes through to deliver on said threat of making Greg pay off this bet.
So no one's asked Greg what the bet is?
No, and he's on a cruise now. So, I mean, we may find a situation where he's in the Final Four, and we don't know if we're going to be flying a crazy person down to maybe beat up Greg. And I know you would hate that, Zaslow.
Well, listen, this is not something I actively think about, all right? You guys like to think that I'm sitting around, twiddling my fingers and coming up with a plan to take down Greg Cote. I don't think about Greg Cote. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, we'll worry about Brandon and his threatening of Greg Cote if we need to next round or the round after that. And
well, what about Dan, though? Dan's got to watch the game with these people.
Yeah,
Dan's fine, though.
It's safe the first round. We'll be safe the first round. And he doesn't have a bone to pick with Dan. It's really Greg he has a problem with. So we're fine. We're fine. If you want, we can preview another matchup in Region 4. Now, this is one of those situations where number 5 Alvaro was very strong in the first round. And I thought Alvaro might go on a deep run. And then Brandon, number 13, who in the first round told us about his dead dad, round 2 told us about his potentially dead dog. And he may have sprung an upset here. Here's the matchup.
Take 19. Favorite show moment? Wow, so many to choose from. Like the old saying goes, en la mañana se come arroz porque la escoba tiene miedo. Which, of course, we all know means that time that Greg Cote revealed Dan's engagement, that was crazy. Oh, how about that other time when Stugotz pensó que Jonathan Coachman era blanco? Oy, o cuando Guillermo se comió la cebolla, which, of course, we all know means hamburger with cheese, and tonight we are all butter. Oh, and Kevin Durant has no rings. Oh, and Le Batard Durant. But not the Roberto Duran interview. Night-night.
Hey everyone, my favorite moment is when Dan told a story about his dead dog. He was shirtless, sobbing at a stoplight, holding his dead dog in his arms. A fan pulled up next to Dan at a stoplight, again, as Dan's sobbing, holding his dead dog in his arms, and said, "Dan Le Batard?" As a dog lover of my own, I could never imagine something like that happening to me and my sweet boy. If you want to avoid more dead dogs, just vote for me.
So, universal applause for the tournament,
Oh,
right?
the fans love this tournament.
Am I the only one that wants to see what the other 18 takes were from Alvaro?
Yes.
You would have liked his first round submission, I think. It was poetry.
Tell me whether I should, and we will continue with that tournament as well, but tell me whether you guys would like to partake in this as a tournament. Can we just put together, please? I'm just going to say an assortment of iconic sounds. just iconic sounds. So if I'm going to go, I'll go 16 through 1 here, and just tell me if this is a tournament that you would like to do, yes or no. We'll do it as quickly as we can. Number 16. Is that an iconic sound?
That's the intro to Back to the Future.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
How does that not put a smile on your face?
It was a
when you hear that?
16, yeah.
But I just didn't know that was an iconic sound. Give me a 15. It's a much stronger 15 than a 16, right? That's stronger.
15 is an embarrassment for that, by the way. That's like a 4-3-2.
They lost their conference tournament, so.
All right, hold on just a second. Hold on to this tournament because I want to think about this for a second. I want to give some consideration to whether or not this is something I want to do going forward because we can. It'd be pretty easy for us to come up with 68 great sounds.
Well, we have to decide pretty soon because the real tournament's halfway over.
Well, I want to throw this tournament at that tournament in the event that we don't want anything to be too perfect, too universally applauded by the fan base.
Well, good news. We have a tournament that is not.
Okay, well, I'm glad that. Well, you just told me that.
I lied. They hate this tournament.
Billy, why? What?
I wanted to make you feel better
about
about
Billy,
it.
No, I know that. Billy, you think that I don't know that they would hate this tournament?
I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate you saying.
I'm worried
yes
about your
with me
feelings.
there.
I don't
Yes.
want you to feel, So if I have to come out here and fib a little bit and tell you,
Billy,
yeah, it's universally
I'm not
approved,
Billy,
that's what I'll tell you.
I'm not mad at the lie. I am mad that I know that the fans aren't going to like us outsourcing our work to other fans to try to do our work.
Well, I have a spoiler alert for
then
them.
Give as a prize, watch the game with Dan.
Look, at some point, if we tell the story of how this happened, that was not supposed to be the prize. That's a whole nother thing. But I don't know if they're aware of this. The Looks Like tournament was completely outsourced to the fans. They came up with all of those. We weren't writing those. It was always outsourced to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And if they think that watching hundreds of terrible videos is a lot easier than just reading Jim Larrañaga looks like he works at IHOP, that's not exactly how it works.
Well, but see, this is one of the wonderful criticisms that can come your way when you don't or we don't do something well. Yes, there is great frustration in working your hardest to do something less good than something that was easier. Yes, that's correct. There's great frustration in that. Yeah, that's not a great situation to have, to work a lot harder on something that becomes less good.
Going back to the other tournament, I thought that Back to the Future sound was the beginning of Springfield's favorite color. That was what I thought it sounded like.
So it wasn't as iconic a sound as I thought it was.
That's why 16.
All right, let me go. Give me 14. Give me what would be a 14 in an iconic tournament sounds.
That's real low.
Yeah, that's low.
You've got a real big impression of yourself when that's the introduction you want to make.
Bombastic.
I mean, just for all time,
Bombastic.
I want everyone to know when 20th Century Fox is walking into the room. Number 13.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Again, criminally.
yes.
Wow, that's a good one.
Criminally
Good
low.
tournament.
Well,
Good
but you keep
Lord.
saying that it's too low, but every sound we hear, they're all amazing.
Give me a
So-
12. Give me an 11.
That's too high.
That's too high?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the ones we've heard already are
EA
better
Sports
than
is better
that.
than
What was that?
That was Super Mario Brothers when you get the extra life.
1960? What was the
Oh, for crying out loud, man. Make us look old. Just make us look old, Tony. Okay. All right, yeah.
That was a great retort. 10.
What's that from?
That was better than EA Sports? Okay, guy.
I got moved by the end of that.
Where?
Yeah, there. there.
There.
What do you think happened in the game?
Somebody scored.
Scoreless game. Went to penalty kicks. Number 9.
I mean, everybody knows that's a 1 seed. Come on.
I don't know what that is.
What?
It's the Pornhub intro.
What? That's a number 1 overall.
That's a number 1 overall. I hear Ethan Badowski screaming through the walls that are soundproof. I hear him shouting, "That's a number 1."
He knows all about that Pornhub intro, I guess, huh?
Not in the state of Florida anymore, though.
No, he's got an ID.
They're workarounds.
Number 8.
That is from The Price is Right, apparently.
That's terrible.
We should have reversed the order of this.
Well, we're
seating.
doing it on the fly. Number 7.
That's good. You know you're about to watch something good when you hear that.
Yeah, that's worthy of its seating.
The last couple, actually.
Number 6.
What is that?
That's the Wilhelm scream. That is a very famous scream that you hear in the movies.
It's not very famous if you have to tell us what it is, though.
Who's Wilhelm?
Apparently, he was the guy that screamed, Wilhelm.
Very
fourth
famous,
member of the band.
Don't know what it is.
Can you play that again, please? It's strange to me that I don't know what these iconic sounds are. What I don't.
Sounds like Zaz a little
Is
bit.
Wilhelm 2 names?
No, it's his last name.
Oh.
I don't know what that is. Number 5. Number 4.
Of course. Classic.
Number 3. Billy, what do you
That's
making?
more of a song. It's a little long.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a song.
Yeah, these are different categories. Sound effects and songs
Yeah,
are different.
Yeah.
It's the intro to a very famous HBO
song.
A song, yeah.
I mean, so is the song from Back to the Future.
No, that's.
Like the Titanic song. Is that a sound or a song? My Heart Will Go On. That's a song.
No, that's a legitimate song. Yeah.
Number 2. Man, I feel once we get to number 2 and stuff that there are some other questionable ones in here. In number 16, I think we could come up with a bunch of 1 seeds here. Number 1. So, Billy, what are you refuting? You're saying
That's a sound.
The Curb Your Enthusiasm has to go because it's a song and too long. Andres Cantor has to go because the gold call is too long.
Still don't even know who Wilhelm is.
If the goal sound is going to be there, we need a double bang in the one spot, I think.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to continue with this tournament. We will see what we put together and just throw at you.
What about that
randomly.
lady from the local news when she fell doing the grapes and she goes,
Ow! 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 I think that might have been like one of the first things that we played again and again as a show 17 years ago, whenever it happened on live television. I think like the next day, and it feels like something that feels to me when you tell that story, and we'll play this sound for those of you who haven't heard it, because I think of it as almost one of the first sounds we ever played that sort of spread, and I guess it wasn't pre-social media, but it feels like it was it feels like it was really early in our show's history, where a woman is crushing grapes with her feet on national television, and she falls out of the grape bucket, and when she falls, something really hurts.
This is a woman. Listen to the sound she makes when she hits the floor. She falls off a platform. She's like crushing grapes with her feet, but she slips, falls right on her face, and this is what it sounds like.
Tours and tastings, vineyard tours, seminars, arts and crafts. It's a lot of fun, a whole day. Stop. Oh, 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 yeah, ow, 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 oh, stop, oh, stop, oh, 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 oh. can't breathe. Stop. No. Oh,
boy,
dear.
I think she's actually hurt.
But
Gosh,
look
I
at
hope
my
she's
hair.
okay.
Somebody get me a brush. Oh, dear. Let's go to a commercial.
I had the wind knocked out of me when I was young, and no one had explained to me what that is, and that is terrifying. If it has not been explained to you, trying to grab your breath when you've fallen out of a swing and fallen on your back, and you don't know what it is to lose your breath.
Dan, by the way, I was at my nephew's flag football game the other day, and I was reminded of you because I was looking at the coach on the other side, and I was like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. And then it made me think of you as the coach of the Little League team. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. Dan had no idea. The problem is the coach couldn't stop the double reverse. So the kid would throw it one way and then the other way. They're 5 years old, obviously.
Neither could Miami this year, to be fair.
Also true. But then I would think of Dan, like, what was it? You had the one play, and then all of a sudden when they stopped that one play, like it was over?
To be clear, the story that Tony is telling, and he just decided to look me dead in the eye and say, hey, Dan, I saw someone who didn't know what they were doing, and it made me think of you.
In a football setting, of course.
He was saying that sincerely, and I know exactly what he was talking about. When I was 15 years old, I was coaching an undefeated football team that was the only team in the league that had a quarterback who could throw and a receiver who could catch. And we rode it to great glory until a coach stifled me in the championship game because his team had gotten a lot better, and I just had that one play. I didn't really, because I was 15, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was a very bad coach. So I'm glad, Tony, that the story that made you think of just total incompetence is watching somebody that didn't know what they were doing.
Couldn't stop the double reverse. I mean, you know the kid's going to throw it back to the other kid and go the other way, Zaz.
Zaslow, there's a number of different things that I want to throw in front of the shipping container about you that I think are strange.
Okay.
Shipping container, is it or is it not strange to travel with a soap dish?
What?
Soap dish.
A soap dish.
Like a soap ashtray?
Is it not no, like in the shower?
Yeah, like where you put, like, it looks like an ashtray. You put the soap in it, right?
And it's got a cover.
Is it or
a dish?
Is it or is it not?
Oh, a travel.
Well, it sounds like a travel case. That's different than a soap dish.
Yeah.
If he wants to travel with a bar of soap, what is he going to do? Put it in a bag?
Yes, I do.
Zephyr Hills, man? Irish Springs?
I don't care about the water.
Zephyr Hills is water.
Weird or not weird? Soap dish.
No, that's not weird.
Thank you.
That's
I
not
like
weird.
cleaning my body.
Hotel gives you free ones, though. You know, it's free
Of
soap.
Wait, what? Of course this is weird, Roy. What do you? Why would this not be weird?
It's a travel case for the soap that you want to use. So.
No, but the dish, like a
Nah.
ceramic dish.
I have my bar of soap that I like using. I can't necessarily trust that the hotel has a bar of soap that is good for my skin.
But let's clarify. So this is not you bringing like a little ceramic dish to put soap on. This is you having a travel case that's plastic that you can kind of snap it open and close with your own soap.
Okay, that's
That's
not
a
weird
little
at
more
all.
normal.
This-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dan, not
Thank
weird.
you.
Setup
Traveling
wasn't
with your
great
own
there,
bar
Dan.
of soap is weird.
That's not a soap dish. Also,
Normal.
I
You
was
made it
told.
seem like it's
It's like an
ceramic.
ashtray.
Come on,
yeah.
Dan.
When I was in the shower with Zaz, I saw a soap dish. And you guys can call it whatever you want. He can hide with whatever his shames are here. He can say, I have a carrying case, and then all of a sudden be met with your judgments and start changing what it looked like. That looked like a ceramic dish to me.
But I was clean.
Was it ceramic or not?
You were. Jemele Hill is going to join us now. And Jemele, I insist that we find the funny in this conversation, the stupid, the silly, the nonsense in this conversation, because I was explaining before you came on here just the wearying stupidity of having any kind of discussion about whether Jackie Robinson was black or I don't even know what the discussion is, honestly, or what the conversation points are that allow us to jump from Jackie Robinson to DEI and then just have the same arguments that we've been having for the last 10 years publicly and privately and longer than that. So thank you for joining us. But what's the fun? What's the funny in here? What's the part that you don't find dispiriting and you just say to yourself, okay, media members are fighting in the wrong way?
I guess probably the most, the funniest part to me was Stephen A. Smith, who I live for when he challenges people live on national television to some kind of confrontation, be it I wouldn't necessarily say a fist fight, but like when he challenged Kevin Durant, like, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. Or this time around when it came to J.D. Vance, the vice president, and Donald Trump, and all of a sudden Stephen A. Smith is like, come on my show and tell me, explain yourself. And I was like, yes, Stephen A., more debate duels. Let's go full wrestling. That was the part that I found to be highly, highly entertaining. It's like, yes, forget about how we used to have celebrity boxing. Let's just have debate duel offs all the time for the soul of humanity. Let's do this. I'm in.
The funniest thing I found from this entire situation was Robert Griffin III getting dunked on. That's it. Just him getting dunked on.
Was that funny, Roy, or was that sad? Because I found that to be sad.
I could find the funny and the sad in that situation. I thought it was highly hilarious that his take was that dumb. So obviously gets dunked on that one.
Well, I was more, I guess, of all the characters, like whenever these debates ensue, right, you have the usual cast of characters that you expect to be involved in some of these debates. RG3 was not one that I had on the bingo card. That him just coming out of nowhere being like, oh, I long and pine for the days when all of sports talk was just about sports and never about politics. And it was like, what? Where did that come from? So it was more the presence and the oddity of his presence in this debate that I found to be kind of strange, if you will.
No, I totally expected that the fat black guy with the silly ass fedora would say something about it, but he did not. I was really shocked about that.
Well, see, if that would have happened, Roy, I would have been like, okay, this tracks. This is on brand, right? But like, you don't expect RG3 to, come out of somewhere with a what he considered to be in his mind. And maybe this is sort of the dispiriting part, is that in his mind, you could tell when he when he let off his opinions, that he actually thought he was giving some kind of nuanced intellectual take that was somehow missed in all these years in which we have dissected, embraced, celebrated Jackie Robinson's legacy. Here comes RG3 with something we've never thought about before, or something that is so unique to this discussion that he needed to tell the world that no, Jackie Robinson wasn't in Major League Baseball. It had nothing to do with politics, nothing at all. It had everything to do with the fact that he was just there as just a great player, and that's it, and just completely just whitewashing the entire context of why this was so meaningful in American politics and American life, period.
I'm curious, Jemele, of your perspective on this. We came up with Stephen A. Smith, and I love the wrestling characters in media and the evolution of what it is that we have done. But it wasn't always wrestling characters, and he has become rewarded through the way that he is on television, the modern Howard Cosell, and one of the most stunning stories in the history of media to go from not needed at ESPN and let go by ESPN to running ESPN. So the wrestling character of it gets rewarded, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't mean to make it sound as if Stephen A. is at home, sort of figuring out what should my character say today. Like, I don't want to insult him by, I'm just sort of politely making fun of the whole, kind of theater of it. Because what Stephen A. does understand the performance element of television. And because he understands that performance element, and because he does it so well and in a way that is very unique to him, and in a way no one else in the industry can actually do it, that it is able to evoke reaction. We live in an attention economy, Dan, as you know, and he's able to create a tornado of attention with everything that he says. And for a media company like ESPN, this is extremely valuable. It's why he got the big contract. His roots are in journalism, and for a long time, he was a very good and one of the best, if not the best, NBA reporter that was out there. But I think he's tapped into something that is easily monetized. So when it's not just, this reporter saying something, it's Stephen A. Smith, the weight of his name is bringing something extra to any discussion that he is in. I just find it really more fascinating, the political turn that he's making while still being at ESPN and still representing ESPN, because as you know, that is not something that is naturally embraced by this company. And so I think seeing his dramatic turn into politics is really quite stunning given the breadth of his career.
To call it a wrestling character does diminish it, because it is just knowing the value of performance on television. But when you say you find that part of it interesting, what is most interesting about it to you? Not just the ESPN part, just the slalom course that Stephen A. has to ride in increasing audience between Fox and ESPN, because he's using both platforms for his own gain.
So that's the part that I do find to be interesting, is that he is embraced in a way in conservative circles that you don't often see by people in his position. Now, some of that is just based off some of the opinions that he shared about, things that he said about the Democratic Party and being very critical of them, which naturally will get you embraced by conservative circles. But very few people can vacillate between two wildly different networks. ESPN is not a political network at all. Fox is the most conservative, or maybe they're not the most conservative, because you do have Newsmax and you also have OWN, but they're at the top of the food chain. Certainly when it comes to conservative networks, it's the value pinging that is very interesting to me, to see him going back and forth between these two circles. And at least from, I think I read this some time ago, like he's doing some kind of live event with like Chris Cuomo. So I just wonder where all of this is going. And so it'll be fascinating to see the arc of his career. I think, and this is just based off things that he said publicly, I think his ultimate goal is to be the #1 media mogul in all of television. And as a personality, while, maintaining, obviously working on some projects that give him ownership over things, of course. But I think his goal is just kind of media world domination. So we're seeing this unfold in real time. And it's really quite a masterclass into how, if you can drill into the performance part of this, what lay ahead for you. Because the thing with me is that while certainly I'm comfortable on TV, comfortable in formats like this, in virtually any format, at some point, I can't perform. This is what you get, and this is all there is. So I can't every day sort of create this level of enthusiasm and fight and all these other things to sort of sell the natural opinion that I have. That's just not a talent that I have. And he has that talent to such a incredible degree that I guess the downside of it is that I feel I worry that for younger journalists, that this is becoming sort of like a Steph Curry effect, in the sense that Steph Curry started, shooting these logo threes and shooting these completely ridiculous and banana shots. And now every NBA player thinks that they can do that, or young kids coming up, learning how to play basketball, they're firing off 60-footers thinking like this is how you play the game, not realizing that talent is reserved to one player who can do that. And so I guess my larger concern is that and I don't mean to make it sound like it's a bad thing, like he's negatively influencing younger journalists, but I know a lot of them are watching him and thinking, I can do that very same thing. And so right now they're drilling into persona as opposed to work. So that's sort of like the long-term 64,000-foot view that I'm a little bit more concerned about.
Jemele, I'm not sure if you saw over the weekend, but it's like not a huge story just because not that many people care about it, but they had like a producer from SportsCenter that got caught kind of ripping Stephen A. a little bit, saying that they bring him on to SportsCenter just to like get this reaction, and even said like they just bring him on to be the angry black man. He doesn't actually care about these things. Then he goes on Fox News and he talks about Gaza. What does he know about Gaza? He was talking about LeBron 2 hours ago. What do you make of that? Because it's a weird situation where this producer was taped. I don't know if this was on a date or like a social outing, and it was kind of like set up, right? And I don't know what state this was in. Like,
is this another, though? There's been this gotcha journalism that isn't journalism, of going out on dates and all of a sudden just recording people and, embarrassing them. Like this has been a journalistic lane recently, has it not?
It has. It's a sucker move. And wait, maybe I need to retract everything I said. This is actually my favorite story from the last couple of days. Because, okay, there's so many things with this story. Like, one, you have this producer who, as you mentioned, may or may not have been on the date. Like, I don't know how much people have listened to this, but if you haven't, I encourage you to listen to it. It literally sounds like that they're on a podcast. I mean, the sound quality is so crisp. I'm like, was my man wearing a lavalier? Like, why is this sound quality so good? And the other thing too, I mean, I agree with you, Dan. Like, this is ultimately despicable. Like, regardless, a lot of people are caught up in what this producer said and how he characterizes Stephen A. Smith and more or less how people view him at ESPN. Like, to me, that's like irrelevant. The relevant part of this is that you could be in a social setting, and if you work at ESPN, wind up being taped and then somebody else giving that to the media. But it also kind of reminds me of a rule I used to have when I was dating. And, you know, long time ago, when I was a single woman out here in the wild of dating, I had a rule that if I was on a date with somebody or in that kind of initial interaction where it's like, okay, you know, this guy's cute, you know, there's some level of flirting that's going on. If they asked me about Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless, immediately that dude was canceled. Immediately. Like, no, I don't want anything to do with you, because there is nothing more unsexy and unflattering than when you're talking to, you know, somebody who's a potential love interest and you're like, oh yeah, you know, so what are your hobbies? What are you, you know, trying to get to know him? And they're like, so what's Stephen A. Smith like? I'm like, do you want to be on a date with Stephen A. Smith? Because this is doing nothing for me. Like, whatever arousal point that I had in this conversation just immediately went to negative. So it kind of reminded me of that rule that I used to have when I was dating. Like, who does that?
Can we play douche or no douche with her, please? I'd like to transition out of. I do find all of that interesting because it really is a story unlike any other. And Jemele, you and I, there's a sort of inevitability in, if we're talking about some of the stuff that we were trying to push along at ESPN, with great gratitude for ESPN deciding, for no good reason at all, to become a journalistic company or decide that they wanted to try and mix sports and difficult things to cover in sports and try and do it journalistically. The fascination I have with the evolution of everything Stephen A. into somebody who could have a better presidential Q rating than Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama because he's famous.
Do you believe that, Dan? Like, seriously? I don't believe it. I personally don't. Like, I really do not believe that's true.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening that I don't believe it's true, and maybe that's and perhaps the polling and the numbers aren't accurate, but I have read that the polling suggests that he would be like the fourth best betting favorite as a Democratic Party representative.
I do not believe this. I have to say, like, listen, I realize right now we're in, if we did a tournament of top, you know, dumbest times in America to have lived through, I truly realize we're in a time where this could be a number one seed. I get it. But I refuse to believe that the average person out here would look at Stephen A. Smith and say, of all the candidates that are possible in the Democratic Party, that this one is the fourth most viable that they have. And I don't believe. I know that I'm probably going to regret saying this. I don't, and this is, again, no reflection of Stephen A. Smith. I don't believe America's that stupid.
What if you were asked
despite the fact
that on a
What?
date, not the question about tell me about Stephen A. Smith, but it was like, would you vote for Stephen A. Smith? Do you think he'd be a good president? Does that then automatically cancel the person on your date with?
That's a good
or is that kind of like a
conversation.
gray area?
That's a better conversation.
You know what? That's actually, to my single ladies out there, that might be the one, you know, because we hear all these reports that one of the reasons, or you want to talk about things, whether or not you believe or don't believe, but one of the things that's messing up the dating game is that, like, a lot of men who have expressed support for Donald Trump is turning off the ladies. Okay. And so that this is part of the reasons that social scientists and experts say that men are living in the loneliest time that they've ever experienced, because a lot of women are choosing to stay single. One of the top reasons is our political beliefs, the differences, especially among college educated women. And so maybe that is now the ultimate dating test. Would you vote for Stephen A. Smith? And whatever the answer is, ladies, you can decide if you found your man or not found your man.
Dan, fourth best odds. Stephen A. Yeah, sprinkle a little something on
Sprinkle
that.
definitely a little something on that.
Sprinkle a little something.
Tony and Zaz say that that debate that you wish for, Jemele, would be Super Bowl numbers, they say.
Between Stephen A. and Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, I can believe that. I can believe that. I would believe that. I would sprinkle something on that.
Would you
I'd
pay
bet the
for
ponies
it?
on that
Would you
one.
pay for it? Would you pay $5 for it?
I got 5 on it.
I got
God,
5.
I'm gonna hate myself. I'm gonna hate myself.
You know you're gonna do it. You know you're gonna do. You're gonna call the girls
I'm
over
gonna
and
hate
have a watch party.
myself for
Come on now.
saying this.
Come on now.
I am disgusted with myself in this moment.
So $5.
Yes,
Okay.
I would pay $5.
Okay,
to
all
see
right.
Donald Trump and Stephen A. debate. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I would. I would pay $5 for that. I would not. I did not want. If the Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul had you had to pay for it. I mean, I already
That
had
was Netflix.
or
You
whatever.
paid
I would.
$9.99 a month for it, but whatever.
Right. I already paid for it. But if that were available to pay for in the traditional pay-per-view model, I would have never paid for that.
But
if
Stephen A.
you
versus
put
Trump.
Stephen A. Smith versus Donald Trump, I would pay for that. I might even pay $10 for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Can I get you 20? Can I get you
20 bucks?
Yeah, can I get you 20? You invite the girls over. Everybody splits 5. You bring a couple bottles of wine. You get on the charcuterie board.
If you're gonna pay 10, you can pay 10. You can pay 15, Jemele.
You can pay 20.
Pay 15. Got to 20. You
All
can
right,
pay 15.
$19.99.
Okay,
wow.
sold.
$19.99 is as high as I go.
Sold.
$19.99 is as high as I go.
Wow.
I'm not going past that.
How about a loser leaves town game? Would you pay 50 for that? Would you pay 50 for that?
Oh.
Loser leaves town game. $49.99.
$49.99 for a
Loser leaves
loser
town
leaves
game.
town game. I mean, for the possibility of getting rid of Donald Trump. I mean, I'd pay $50 if
There
there's a
it
possibility
is.
of
You're a hell of a salesman, Tony. Look at America
I know.
coming together. Everybody's coming together.
$49.99. Loser leaves town game,
Yes,
though.
as Jeremy has the appropriate reaction.
$65 and the loser has to shave their head.
Wow, okay.
All right, let's play douche or no douche here. Leaving stickers on your flat brim hat. Douche or no douche?
Leaving stickers on your flat brim. I'm going to say no douche. No douche.
Morning routine videos on social media.
I'm gonna say douche because that's just like way too attention seeking. Like I don't care that much about what you're doing in the morning.
Speaking of which, bathroom selfies.
Oh, that is. You know what? That's no douche because I don't consider. I think that's just kind of sad. Like I don't think you're a jerk for doing that. I just think you probably haven't quite evolved yet. Like those things should be out.
I think a bathroom selfie's okay. That's because you looked in the mirror and you liked what you saw, and that's such a nice thing that you could feel confident about yourself and go, you know what? I'm going to take a selfie in this mirror, and I'm going to show the world that I feel good about myself. I think a bathroom selfie's
Nobody wants
good.
to see the legs sticking out of the stall.
That's
behind
fair.
You. Nobody
That's
wants to see.
fair.
Nobody wants to see that. Right? Yeah. You got to think of the aesthetic. Okay.
Solo bathroom. Okay.
Driving a cyber truck. Douche or no douche?
You're a douche. And I live in LA, so you imagine how many that I see on a daily basis. There's also a Tesla dealership that's walking distance to me. No one's vandalized anything, by the way, in case anyone cares.
Jemele, nice seeing you. Thank you for being on with us. It's always good seeing you.
Now I gotta go and feel bad for myself the rest of the day because you guys got me to admit that I would pay to see Donald Trump debate Stephen A. Smith.
You think that's the part that's going to be aggregated? You know good and well that's
right, my guy.
you know good and well that ain't the part that's going to get you.
I know. Bye.
Jeremy, what do you have to update there?
Yeah, I really hate to put a damper on this one for you guys, but according to McLaughlin and Associates, in January of 2005, they did a poll thinking ahead to the 2025. Thinking ahead to the 2028 Democratic primary election for president. If that election were held today, among the following candidates, whom would you vote for? So, in terms of percentages, Kamala Harris had 33, Pete Buttigieg had 9, Gavin Newsom had 7, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had 6, Josh Shapiro, Tim Walz, Gretchen Whitmer, and Amy Klobuchar all had 3, Stephen A. Smith down at 2. So,
Good
not going to
sprinkle.
happen.
If we get even
Ninth,
better
I
odds
believe.
now. Even better odds. You sprinkle a little bit more, it goes a long way.
I would do anything to not have Stephen A. Smith be the president.
Anything.
Except for Donald Trump being the president.
Anything.
So I guess I'd rather him than Donald Trump, but he's a Republican. I don't want him
Seems like
running for the
you're
Democratic
in a catch-22 here,
primary.
Jeremy.
That's
Loser
crazy.
leaves town game. You're paying $50. Sorry.
No, I'll just vote for the far left candidate. I mean, like, that's what we'll do, right? If Stephen A. is the Democratic nominee, the Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore. No? We're all just cool with that? Guy who's always said, all I care about is money, and he's just going to be there. All right, that's fine. I'll shut up.
Very presidential. Something on it.
There we go.
What are you, the Salt Bay? Like, what are you doing there? You want to?
I'm sprinkling a little something on it.
Dan, a little sprinkle.
I'm just trying to win some money. All right.
A value proposition?
Yeah.
You can't have your moralities around my value propositions. It's just gambling.
Can't it just be both?
With our freedom and our democracy.
We'll be fine.
But if you lose it, you might as well win money, right? You'd probably lose that too if you lose the free.
Yeah, but it's about the
Figure that out once we get there.
Yeah, but you win on a long shots. I mean, how does that feel?
It's something to brag about. It's something to brag about for the rest of your life. Hey, I bet
sprinkled
this
a little
and,
bit.
I
took it early.
Yeah, that's right. And I took it early.
Nobody likes the person who gives the morning routine, right? That's not something that that's something that everyone's going to respond. I don't want to watch your morning routine on social media.
Depends how interesting it is.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what this is.
What is
Zero morning routine?
Yes, I don't know what this is.
Roy is suffering at the moment. We'll get to that in a second. Roy is, and this is a good character, actually. I would like to develop this character with Roy. Roy feels like this is well beyond the sad report that Chris Cote is producing. The slow report, excuse me, not the sad report.
That's a different
That's
report.
mine.
That's
That's
also fine.
That's the one I do. Yes, I'm sorry. The slow report is Chris Cote. Mine's the sad report. But Roy is feeling these days like he is the very last to know anything. That anything going on social media that is viral, that for whatever the reason it is, it's getting to him last. He feels like he's arriving at things that others are talking about, and they've already talked about it.
Yeah, and as much as I'm on Twitter, or X as it's currently known right now, I've yet to see whatever this morning routine thing is. 0% knowledge of this.
I don't know what it is either.
I think it's you have an Android. It just gets to you slower.
Yeah.
God damn it. It is not because I have an Android.
It might be.
Like, I guess it's not in the algorithm, I guess.
Well, that's why Zaz is here telling you sprinkle a little something on Stephen A. now. Like, that's getting to you early. Take note of this.
Yeah.
The morning routine, Billy, that you're obsessed with?
Well, so there's this morning routine video that's been going around. There's lots of morning routine videos. We do some with Nick's, kind of. That's a thing that we do. But there's a morning routine that's going on, and it's, I don't know what this guy does, if he's like an influencer or whatever, but like his day starts very, very early, and people are catching on to the fact that times are not necessarily adding up when he's doing things. Because it's playing now. I guess there's no sound on this. But it starts at like 3:17 a.m. By 4:01 a.m., he's out on his balcony doing push-ups, as you know, as one does. That lasts until about 4:04 a.m. Then he sits down.
That's not a morning routine. That's a middle of the night routine.
Well, no. It starts at 3. Look, rise and grind. Early bird gets the worm. You know what I mean, Zaz? So
Zaz,
he's
that
up
was you
there
for like 20 years, dude.
Yeah.
Well, eventually I had to take a step back, but yes.
Well, he's there. He then puts his face in a bowl of ice water for some reason.
That's good for you.
He puts on his running things, a $20,000 watch from what Tony says. He's there walking you through this video. Then at 6:20 a.m., he leaves his apartment. He goes into the elevator at 6:23. At 6:38, he's on the treadmill until 6:52. 7:30, he's going outside for a swim. 7:31, he's there. He takes off his shoes. And, whoa, there he goes. 7:37, he jumped. At 7:40 a.m., he landed in the pool. So he was floating in the air for about 3 minutes there. Incredible. Then he goes back upstairs, takes another shower at 8:28 a.m., 8:35. He dries himself off. He now is rubbing some banana on his face for some reason.
What was that about?
Sits down. His face is back in a tub of ice. And now he's having an important meeting where I think he just said, like, give me 10,000 or something like that. And now he has someone making him breakfast, and he's eating breakfast at 9:26 a.m. And you can watch all that with sound on the social medias.
Probably would have been better or worse with sound.
Worse. That was way better.
Sure.
Billy
That
had
was
good
way
play.
Yeah,
better?
Billy killed it.
Okay.
I'm working on my play-by-play skills.
professional
it's getting better.
broadcaster.
The more I do it, the better it's getting.
The doing of the morning routine, and so Roy, you don't feel like you've missed anything, right?
For why and for what? Seriously. What is that?
Well, the sharing it or
you
having
labeling
one?
this a morning routine. This is like a man performing masculinity on the internet for other people to consume. This isn't like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm washing my face and then I'm going to work.
I think that's supposed to be motivational. Like, you're supposed to see, like, how
the
to
grind set.
rise and grind. And you see how much, like, oh, wow, while I'm sleeping, this guy's doing push-ups on his balcony at 4:01 a.m. for 3 minutes.
What's the point in waking up before 4 a.m.
You could have ended the sentence at waking up.
Jeremy, can you find for me the Mark Wahlberg routine where I would imagine
I will.
this is where this started because he's famously someone who gets up at 2:30 in the morning because you want to rise faster and grind harder
You're
than the
so
person.
cool. You wake up before anyone. You're accomplishing so much.
2:30 a.m. wake up. 2:45 a.m. prayer time. 3:15 a.m. breakfast. 3:40 to 5:15 a.m. workout. 5:30 a.m. post-workout meal. 6 a.m. shower. 7:30 a.m. golf. So I don't an hour
No
and a half
one's
long
impressed.
shower.
No one's impressed.
8 a.m. snack. 9:30 a.m. cryo chamber recovery. 10:30 a.m. snack. 11 a.m. family time /meeting/work calls. 1 p.m. lunch. 2 p.m. meeting/work calls. 3 p.m. pick up kids at school. 3:30 p.m. snack.
Is he
4
golfing in the
p.m.
dark?
workout number 2. 5 p.m. shower. 5:30 p.m. dinner/family time. 7:30 p.m. bedtime because his life sucks.
I'm sorry. You're going to sleep at 7:30. You're right. Your life sucks. You're going to sleep at 7:30. What are you doing?
I couldn't agree with you more.
7:30.
Who wants to do that?
And he's like a star. He's got lots of money. He's going to bed at 7:30. Waking up at 2:30. Get over yourself. No one cares. Like, is there anyone who you say I wake up at 2:30 in the morning? Like, wow, it's awesome.
I wake up at 2:30 in the morning every morning, by the way.
I do think there are people that are impressed by a military lifestyle of discipline, yes. I'm not saying that I am one of them, but I don't think that Mark Wahlberg is showing that to people because he doesn't think they're going to be impressed.
But military guys don't wake up at 2:30. They wake up at 0600 hours. You know what that means? That's
Exactly
6
right.
a.m. That's 6 a.m. That's military time. 0600. Don't want to confuse anyone. Inclusive show.
Tony, what do you have for us?
Dano, I'm glad you asked. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the. Is that a fine there?
No, it was a video someone just sent me of Willow sleeping out there on the couch.
Just making sure. Okay.
Willow.
Just making sure.
Oh, Willow.
We've got a bracket update, Dano, and today's bracket update is brought to you by the Toasted Bracket by Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's is sponsoring the Toasted Bracket. They're finally here, and they're finally hot. Those toasted sandwiches, by the way, very exciting. Try our new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Order one today. Dan, it's been a very chalky bracket, right? If you look in the Midwest region, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of ones, a lot of twos, except the two that I picked, which, of course, was St. John's. I had them in the Final Four. I had them beating Florida in a very exciting, run for the Johnnies. Then they continued to go for, what did they go? 4 for 41 on threes.
Well, combined.
In the game.
Combined.
I mean, look at how cute that is. Come on. Yeah. I could not click play on the video.
Look at her. Oh.
Shouldn't be here in the office. Zaz, do you agree with that?
Whoa.
That the dog shouldn't be in the office?
Yeah.
Dog ain't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
It's bothering somebody.
I was at a brewery yesterday, and there was a dog right next to me, at the table right next to me.
Drinking beer?
Sitting in the chair?
Like next to my chair, lying down right up against me.
Yeah,
But
get
it's
outta
like, you're not bothering anybody, whatever.
She's so cute.
How do you feel? So you're okay with dogs
I
at
am
work?
okay with it.
This is the first I'm hearing that Tony's not okay
No,
with
I'm
it.
aligned with Amin on the fact that the dog needs to be
He's doing a
somewhere
bit,
else. But
Dan.
we're doing the show.
Nah, as
here.
long as the dog's not bothering anybody, I have no problem.
Anyways, we've got number one still live across the board. I got Duke winning it all, so I'm still in good graces there when it comes to the national championship.
Boring place.
Why?
I just wouldn't be on the top 10 places to visit. We've gone over that.
Oh, that's right.
I don't want to hear about the dog being an emotional support animal, though. Like, that's garbage. Like, everybody has a dog to emotionally support you. You have a dog because having the dog makes you feel good, all right? That's everyone. So the fact that you could bring your dog anywhere because it's an emotional support animal, that's bull.
I agree. I also have Michigan State in the Final Four, so the Sparties are looking good, Dano. That's the Toasted Bracket update brought to you by Jimmy John's.
Thank you. Zaslow, how do you feel about Florida being a favorite as someone who is a proud Gator? And the best Florida run there's been was Joakim Noah
06, 07,
and Horford and Billy Donovan. This is the best team since then, is it not?
Yeah, and by the way, we had the Cooper Flagg conversation earlier. All those guys were projected lottery picks, and they all came back the very next year. Like, that's all of them. Horford, Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, they all came back the next year.
Jeremy, what are you rolling your eyes out?
I wasn't rolling my eyes as much as it was a different time, right? Like, and those guys were not all freshmen. It wasn't the time of one and done. It was a different time in college basketball where those players all going back was ultimately good for them. And look, all the power to Cooper Flagg if that's what he decides to do. If all of those lottery picks at Duke maybe win a championship and say, let's go win another one, maybe that happens. We were talking about an individual player where I'm expecting that his teammates are going to leave too. But if you tell me that some Duke booster, swoops in and is willing to give however many millions to all of those lottery picks to stick around, maybe it happens. But you're right. UF is like that was the ultimate example of the perfect college basketball
It was
team.
a different time, but doesn't that make it even more shocking that those guys all stayed?
Yeah, passing up on the money. You're right.
Yeah. And Joakim Noah, there was talk he was going to be the number 1 pick after 2006. He stayed. He ended up going like number 9 or whatever it was.
Well, that would be my test case if I was trying to make the argument against you guys. As you correctly assembled, so much more money is the thing. If you went and asked Joakim Noah and Al Horford now and Corey Brewer now with whatever money they made, hey, that second year that you guys got together where you got to do it again, what was that worth? What would you pay to have that year back? I think in the case of those three, it's an extraordinary amount of money. All their teammates might not have that money, though, and they might have a different answer.
Yeah, I think they certainly liked it because they gave up the year and they accomplished exactly what they set out to do. Like, it worked out exactly the way that they wanted it to.
Well, because they were better than everybody. This team's supposed to be better than everybody except for Duke. Like, it's the best offense in the sport in 10 years when people aren't – I mean, you can say people are good at offense, but this is – by percentage, this is inefficient basketball. This is crude basketball. It's not even that you're never – the cost of what we're talking about in making college what we've made it is, that Florida team will never exist again. Like, it's not even a thing that's possible. Even if Phil Knight decides he wants to make Oregon something bigger, the pros are always going to be the calling. That's dead. It's dead forever. And a portion of college basketball gets killed with it because Cooper Flagg is the name that you know, but the Duke team of Zion Williamson, where Zion was the 3rd best recruit, that's not going to play together for 3 years the way it would have at UNLV once upon a time.
It's also dead because we just generally have more of that get that bag mentality, right, in America than we did, 18 years ago, right?
It was still pretty shocking back then.
Yeah, it was surprising, but it'd be way more surprising now because the kids that are playing college basketball right now were being born around then. And the way that we've shifted our conversation about individually going and getting the bag, no matter what that takes, is different than it was then. So you can motivate, hey, you guys just won a championship. There's this collective bond over whatever. I mean, you see it in the
I think it's a better
individualistic...
chance if you lose the championship. Like, if Cooper Flagg and Duke win this year, I don't think you even consider staying. I think if they fall short, it's like, I came here to win a championship. I'm going to stay another year.
There is no consideration anymore, right? This isn't even a conversation anymore, even though you can stay in college and get millions of dollars. It ceased being a conversation. Everyone agrees that it's dumb to go back.
Someone's going to do it. I don't think it's going to be Cooper Flagg. Someone's going to do it.
And like at Duke? This year?
No, I don't think it's going to be this year.
Okay.
But someone's going to do it one day where, wow, I make enough money here. I'm not trying to play for the Wizards.
That is a bold prediction that we'll never be able to call you on.
I'm marking it down.
I saw some early stuff on Juju's new alley-oop show. We're going to debut tomorrow. We're going to show you some of what it is that Juju's doing on the interwebs around basketball coverage. He has been Willow. What's Willow doing? What does Willow want?
Seems like she's bothering somebody.
Whoa, Billy, what's happening? What are you eating that Willow wants?
Food, lunch. So I got arroz con pollo with some black beans here.
So anyway, excuse me for doing that. I was distracted by Willow. Tony, I don't know what's happening with Tony there. Tony, this is the first I'm hearing of any of this.
Bothering people in the office. You said you never seen anybody bothered.
I mean, I like Willow. Everyone here likes Willow.
No, I like her. I like her at Jess's house. She's great there, by the way. I've been to Jess's house, and the dog's been great, and we've been hanging out and doing things.
I'll remember this.
Not in the office.
Don't worry.
Juju,
your brother was at the office last week doing
Again,
nothing.
I didn't approve of that. I don't know what happened there. I
did not meet your brother. I didn't see your brother. I don't know why your brother
You probably
was
did,
in
and
the
you
office.
just thought it was Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
They're just the same
They
person.
sound exactly the same. He speaks with the same Vocal patterns and level of arrogance.
It's like Ozzy and Jose Canseco, one of the great
Straight
sports.
off. The problem is my brother's like 60 pounds lighter than I am. That's the only difference.
Better looking, too.
Juju, I'm sorry to interrupt you. And as I was saying, I'm very much looking forward to watching yet more. I should say debut of his show here because the Alley Oop Show is not. He's been doing it during the postseason and been doing professional basketball coverage for us for a while. Nice to see you, sir. Do you have any opinions on any of the subject matter that we had today?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the warm welcome. You feel me? Alley Oop Show. You know what I mean? A little snippet show. We did a little quick pilot with my sister, Trista Crick, who could be seen on It Is What It Is, and my dog, Josh Smith, Stephen A. Smith, little nephew, who's taking the internet by storm right now. My dog's from, from a couple of years right now. So I appreciate that. And check it out tomorrow when we put it up. And it's good to see my brother, Johnny Z, back in the studio today. You feel me?
Good to see you.
The house. I put the Florida up
Yes.
for you and my dog, Ethan Badowski. You dig me? I also brought something for you as well, for you to make sure.
That's not for me.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Oh, a Celtics 2024 World Championship
I'm
banner.
not out of toilet paper.
Oh, no. No.
Well, yeah, I want to chime in on the comment y'all was talking about Cooper Flagg, and I agree with Billy. Like, if Cooper Flagg draft dodges this year, it's a surprise. The Wizards are going to be waiting for him with open arms next year. So no matter what you do, you can stay an extra year and play with your Achilles tendon if you want to. And like Jess said, Duke is not a walk in the ballpark. You got to wake up and do your job at Duke. So I agree with y'all. You mean on both sides of that.
I'd like a camera on Cooper Flagg when the draft lottery is done the second year, when he skips the first year because it was the Wizards, and then the Wizards come up again the second year. It's just a camera on his home. It's just shit.
Hell yeah. And they say the same thing about Cade Cunningham when he got drafted by the Pistons. And you see that franchise has been turned around slowly but surely. I think Tony said it as well earlier. Those players believe in themselves to be that person who's going to change that organization around. So I definitely feel both sides of the argument, as well as I think that's a big component of why college basketball rivalries aren't what they used to be anymore. You feel me? Like, imagine Dalton Connect on this Tennessee team. Like, it'll be crazy. Imagine Jason Tatum playing with Zion. I feel like that's what we got back in the days, and them one and done scenarios, although lucrative, have robbed us of that great college basketball rivalry.
I think that's one of the many reasons why a lot of fans are turning to women's college basketball, because you have more continuity year to year and you know who the stars are. You can watch someone like Caitlin Clark or Juju Watkins play 2, 3, 4 years for the same school, and you can watch someone like Hannah Hidalgo go from a freshman averaging 18 points a game or whatever to sophomore averaging 24 points a game, and then she's going to be back next year hopefully with the same team.
Right. All right. And those rules for the women, the ladies, you got to stay like 3 years or either be 22 years old. We might need to meet halfway somewhere with the men, because a lot of these ladies get to develop. And I saw a video of Haley Van Lith yesterday after winning the game, just describing her testimony. Like, man, some of her first years, although exciting and flashy, she was super duper depressed and was going through a lot of mental hurdles. And so now that she's with TCU, it has shown her and gave her a little plateau of enlightenment. So I think that the growth of these college kids, it's something to be studied for like she say, staying a couple of extra years to develop yourself instead of going straight into the professionalism. But I understand the dough.
What is going on with our Tournament of Sound? Was it widely rejected? Was it poo-pooed?
I mean, it wasn't poo-pooed. It was just, a little smell on it. So I made my own top 5 list of sounds that you guys forgot.
Okay.
You dig me? OLI, the PlayStation 2 load screen. Stuff starting up in a little galaxy. OLI as well. Sega. As soon as you open the Sega, turn it on. You dig it. Number 5, the Netflix opener. Ta-dong. You feel me? I think Jessica said this one earlier. Number 4 might bring bang.
Double bang.
Chef's kiss. Also, this is for the old heads. Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat, uppercut, toasty. You love to hear it. You dig it. And number 2, whenever you outside and you in a little great little night spot or a club or a day party, and you hear dum 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 dum, and Juvenile back there.
Cash, yeah.
You know it's about to get live. You feel me? And the number one sound in the impossible universe that we live in is the dum 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 from Price is Right. Loser game show sound.
Yes.
For Sizzle.
That I've got it here. There you go. Took me a minute. I'm sorry. Joker of the day. Do we have a Joker of the day today? Anyone in here? Anyone outside of here?
Yes, sir. And I think my dog Johnny Z can back me up on this one, dog. Bob Hurley, what are you doing? Take your L and walk off the screen.
Dan.
Crocodile galore. No gator tears, just crocodile tears. What you think, Johnny Z?
Yeah, well, first of all, Dan Hurley. Let's not confuse anyone that Bobby
Friends call
did
him
something.
Bob, yeah.
Dan
His
Hurley.
close
And yes,
friends call him Bob.
100. I can't wrap my head around the idea that the game ended. They were national champion back to back, and the first thing that goes through his mind is, I got to find the Baylor players, and I got to tell them, I hope they don't get screwed the way that we just did.
Just warn them. Right? Warn them about what's out there.
I got to look out for those kids at Baylor.
Also, earlier you said Robert De Niro was on a movie on Netflix. It was an actual TV show. Neither here nor there, but it's called 0 Day, and it wasn't necessarily awesome. But I understand the sentiment. You feel me?
I feel you.
And let's get to the polls. The first poll of the day was, can Santa be 5'5"? 67% of the audience says no, he cannot. Dang. Salute to my brother Danny Benitez, though, in the back, doing a great job as always.
Where did we arrive on is the cutting off point on over-under for how short you're willing for your Santa to be? 5'7", still too short, isn't it?
Too short.
5'10"?
It's got to be 6, man.
Jim Conway, though, in the cartoon.
Yeah, you got to be big enough to look down at the elves, or however tall they are, just a couple of inches.
Mm-hmm.
In the last poll, did Ed Asner play bigger than 5'7"? 84% of the audience says yes, he did.
Oh, Lou Grant.
Ed Asner, Draymond Green.
So asinine. An Ed Asner reference. Thank you, Juju. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Johnny Z.
Yeah, the Heat won 3 of those. Celtics only 2 since their existence.